Multiple federal charges just announced in Minnesota. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. 2 days after a state lawmaker and her husband were killed, another lawmaker and his wife wounded.
It is no exaggeration to say that his crimes are the stuff of nightmares. Belter stalked his victims like prey.
Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson says the suspect, Vance Belter, went to at least 4 homes Saturday night targeting lawmakers, had a list of more than 40 targets, and researched victims and their families, keeping many notebooks.
But I have not seen anything involving some sort of political screed or manifesto that would clearly identify what motivated him. Obviously, his primary motive was to go out and murder people. Now, they were all elected officials. They were all Democrats.
The federal complaint seeks charges including murder and stalking. Belter, who was captured yesterday, is due to make an initial court appearance this afternoon. President Trump says there's still time for Iran to make a nuclear deal, even as fighting with Israel intensifies.
Answering questions at the G7 summit here in Alberta, Canada, President Trump says Iran is not winning this war.
And they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
The president says there is still a runway for a deal between Israel and Iran.
Yeah, it's achievable. Both parties have to agree, I'm sure.
President Trump would not say what it would take for the U.S. to join Israeli airstrikes, but Fox has confirmed the president blocked an Israeli proposal to assassinate Iran's supreme leader.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Calgary. Fox News also learning the U.S. Air Force is moving a large number of refueling tanker aircraft to Europe to be closer to the Middle East and give the CENTCOM commander more options. This as more ships also head to the region. An Iranian state TV broadcast interrupted by an Israeli strike after Israel told residents in the area to evacuate. But Iran launching another deadly missile strike on Israel. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The summer feel in place, mainly due to the high humidity than anything else. A mix of clouds and sunshine going through the afternoon. Could be a shower here and there, maybe a rumble of thunder. 84 for the high. Tonight, plenty of clouds, a couple of scattered showers, maybe a thunder shower. 68 Tuesday, partly sunny. A spot shower, mainly a dry day Tuesday, and 92. Best chance of severe weather on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit lakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not a married sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not a married sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome to the Annie Fry Show. Happy Monday. Another show cast member not here. Brad got arrested at a No Kings protest this
Dropping
weekend.
like flies.
I know. I didn't know that he had it in him.
It's like half of 97.1's gone.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brad's on vacation this week in Washington, D.C. Did he participate in a No Kings rally? I cannot confirm nor deny, so we'll just move on.
If he did, it was probably as a Yes Kings advocate. Because it's just the opposite. I don't know that he actually believes that.
Yeah.
I think he was walking around with a crown on.
Fair
like
enough.
A big old fancy robe.
It was a Burger King crown, but.
Mm-hmm. Robe was legit, though.
Oh, man. It's a weird way to start the show.
Yeah. Where do we go now? We got
How
3
about
hours.
to Iran?
Okay.
Naturally. There's a lot of news that developed over the weekend. And I thought that this weekend, tell me what you think about this, Ryan. This weekend really subsidizes whatever worldview you have.
It was something else.
Like I came through this weekend's Father's Day weekend, of course, had a family reunion golf scramble. Every year we do this. This is the first year that I won. I was on the winning team of the family reunion golf scramble. Now it's a reunion where everybody is encouraged to play. It's priority socialization, getting to see people you don't get to see throughout the year. Maybe you play with somebody who you've never played with before, whatever. So it's not like a bunch of super competitive golfers. So really anybody, if you've got a good golfer on your team, you can win. And we had a very good golfer on our team and me, and we managed to pull it out.
Was it more about golf shots or Jello shots? You know what I'm saying?
Let's see here. Cloverleaf Golf Course, 9, 10, 11.
Is this how many holes
12,
you remember before you
13.
blacked out?
Yeah, she's getting pretty high.
It's usually hole number 13. There's a handle of Southern Comfort that comes out. And it did. And I partook it.
Is this how you sounded on Saturday?
No, I was on the winning
By
team.
hole 18, she
Partake it did.
My husband's won this as an outlaw of the family.
Ooh.
Has won this tournament with other people many times. He just litters the house with his trophies.
Sounds disgusting.
It is
Your house has
repulsive.
gotta be
Sick man.
filthy.
But I actually won this year. So I had a good weekend. But this is to say that I spent my Saturday afternoon while there was a military parade, while it was Donald Trump's birthday, while there were No Kings protests, from what I'm told, across the country. Israel attacks Iran. Iran attacks Israel back. All of these things are going on. And depending on what you are doing throughout the course of any given day, you could be sitting on the edge of your couch in your home, consuming up every bit of detailed information. There was another psychopath that in Minnesota hunting down people who he wanted to murder and was successful in doing that. He injured more people than he murdered. He's going to go away for life, if not get the death penalty in Minnesota. And it's interesting to look at these stories, both super up close with a microscope. You know, if you're like me and you were busy on Saturday and you weren't able to sit down and take in the parade and take in the coverage of the protests, I'm sure based on whatever network you want to put in, then you dip and dip out if you choose to do anything at all. If it's your social media feeds that you've curated for yourself, you're affirmed on everything. And we couldn't be more polarized and divided. I really think that the No Kings protests, from what I've consumed, actually, from like how effective was a protest, I think being unplugged is actually probably the best way to determine if the protests were effective. No major news stories out of the No Kings protest, correct?
I think there was a shooting in Salt Lake City, but I don't know if it was a No Kings thing. There was activity, but that's the only thing I've heard.
So, I mean, that is to say, you could say that, oh, they weren't effective. Or you could say, wow, there were a lot of people who assembled across the country and they were peaceful. You know, save that one incident that you're talking about that hasn't cut through the news enough to have us facing all the details. So does that mean that the No Kings protests were successful, wildly successful, or a flop? Because there aren't any major stories of, you know, cities being taken over by hundreds of thousands of people. That I don't know that happened, but I did see the protests across the country, and I know that they were attended. I don't think they changed anybody's mind. And if a protest doesn't change anybody's mind, is it effective? Well, I think that the way that you judge it on the whole, if I remember what it was like to be in the minority, and No Kings people are in the minority in every possible way that you could measure it based on the last election, and the polling numbers still continue to, at least as far as what Donald Trump is pursuing as policy, he still has the will of the people behind him. If you look at your time that you've spent, if you're a pro-Trump person, if you're somebody who is just, did I vote for this? Heck yes, I voted for this over and over and over again. If you're on the other side, you do need to show that you exist. And I would say that the other side this weekend showed that they exist. But again, and this is the thing that I want to overemphasize, even to my friends who are on the left. I know people in my personal life who attended these protests. I only know this because I saw that they posted stuff on social media because I'm personally connected to them. There is no king. Donald Trump is not acting like a king. If you truly, in your heart of hearts and in your brain, believe that Donald Trump is acting like a king, then you've either A, been lied to, or you're delusional. I understand. I don't agree with it, but I understand that there are people in this country who look at Donald Trump and they disagree vehemently with his policies, with his positions on issues, that they think that, you know, it's a very kind and generous heart thought to say, you know, all of the abuelas and abuelos that live in this country who are hardworking people, they abide in our system, they comply with our system, they're here, they've been here for a while, they're not hurting anybody, in fact they're helping people, that we should figure out, we should celebrate these people, and we should welcome the diversity of culture, and we should open our arms to them and you know, make them one of us instead of making them live like they need to live or live in fear. I understand that thought. It's not realistic. And if you have a problem with the situation we're in right now, I would say see Barack Obama. He tweeted about DACA. I didn't read the whole tweet earlier, but I saw that. I was like, oh, he's actively participating here on X. Barack Obama created DACA. And I think when DACA, the idea of DACA, and when DACA was created, it was basically to say, hey, you folks who were brought here as children, as minors, because somebody else made a decision that wasn't yours and who've only ever known the life of living in America, maybe we should consider a little extra grace and mercy for those people. I believe the number at the time that DACA was formed, I don't know, Ryan, if you remember this, but I believe it was in the 700,000.
That is what I was going to say. So.
Number of people in this country who would have qualified under Barack Obama's, what people on the right called amnesty. It wasn't amnesty. It was a legal status at the time that could be provided, maybe with a pathway to citizenship, which I completely agree is problematic. You can go back and check the tapes when I was on Sunday nights with Mark Cox. I was less worked up about DACA than the Republican Party would have told me I should have been. Again, I was a Marco Rubio person in 2016, and he was a member of the Gang of Eight, and he was looking at worker visas. And, DACA wasn't something that he was signing on to, but he was a lot closer to that type of what I would refer to as a thought exercise on what do we do here with this problem that we have. We're talking with DACA about 700,000-ish people. Donald Trump said today, standing next to the Canadian Prime Minister, that Joe Biden let in 21 million people. Imagine if we would have solved our immigration problems imagine if we would have agreed with DACA, we would have effectively closed or managed and secured, is the best word, the southern border, and not had 21 million people flood into this country because Joe Biden kicked the door wide open and said, come on in and hurry. Now we've got 21 million people here. Well, listen, for the folks who think that Donald Trump is acting like a king because he's securing our borders and making sure everybody inside the proposed kingdom actually belongs here, your problem is with Joe Biden. Your problem is with the aggressive progressives that have run in a shadow closeted state, the government, for the last 4 years, and knew that we had to import as many human warm bodies into this country so they could remake the map, so that they could reassess the situation, give Democrats more power in our federal government. That's what happened. If your heart goes out to these people who you know that have come here illegally, who have been welcomed into this country by a Democrat who was being managed by other shadow Democrats, and they did it knowing that there was no future for those people here in a legal situation, that something we'd have to have a drastic change in the future of how we allow people to stay. Your problem is with Joe Biden. It's not with Donald Trump. The person who acted like a king here was Joe Biden. He did whatever he wanted. He said, screw the laws. These people are coming in here because I say so. That's what Joe Biden did. So while I think that the left this weekend had people show up, they had, they weren't, I don't think it was a flop everywhere. I don't think it was a great success everywhere. Everywhere you go is probably something in between, something to build on from the left. You got to figure out what your message is, though, because just saying that Donald Trump is a king is not persuading anybody. The majority of Americans who voted for him to go do what he's doing right now, your message is paper thin. So if you wanted this weekend, as somebody who is oppositional to President Trump, to Republicans, to conservative policy, to secure borders, to increasing American energy production, to not wanting to be in new wars, if your opposition to all of these things was supposed to manifest itself this weekend, and people show up for this, people show up in opposition to Donald Trump, you're going to have to think of something more if you want to effectively materialize that into votes in an election when it matters. We are so upside down on common sense. There are so many things that are happening right now in the world. Ryan, I think that the most successful thing that Barack Obama did was to make everything gray area. When you can win an election on hope and change, how do you measure that? What do you do to say we've successfully accomplished hope? I mean, hope is only existent on the journey. Hope isn't there at the end. Assurance is what you have at the end of hope. And then change doesn't change. That's all subjective. So if you make everything gray area, then you end up having in 2025 boys playing in girls' sports and people going, well, they do need a place to play. There's no commonality in the sense of that. We're going to speak with Michele Tafoya next. She's the host of the Michele Tafoya podcast. Riley Gaines and Simone Biles had a bit of a slap fight that I'm pretty certain Riley Gaines won last week. In your mind, Ryan, you have a daughter. Does your daughter play sports?
Yeah.
What does she play?
Volleyball.
And she's young.
She's trying track, but we'll see how that goes.
She's got time.
Okay.
She's got a lot of time in development before she gets to rule things out. If a dude showed up to compete against her in a sport, like everybody, if they showed up as a dude, everybody would be like, no.
Well, the odd thing is at the age that they're at, in track, they already separate them.
9, 8?
In volleyball, she's 10, just turned
10.
11. So she was 10, she was doing volleyball last. And at that age, they're actually still co-ed because the hormones haven't kicked in yet.
But
they're about to.
Yeah.
And once they do, then they immediately separate them because there's a distinct advantage for men in sports. So once that happens, it is so obvious why every generation throughout history has started the separation at that point, because people develop differently based on their gender.
Yeah, because it's science.
It's a basic fact.
It is basic.
Sorry to report that.
I'm not. I wish we'd scream it from the mountaintops more often. The common sense of what Ryan is explaining here, we all know it. We all understand it. We've all been way too nice for too long to say, no. You don't even have to be mean about it. But you have to have discernment, and you have to have conviction to say no. And it can't only matter when it's your daughter. It can't only matter when it's, the thing that I hear from the left the most is, how often is this really happening? And my response is, what's your benchmark? How many times, how many girls need to be removed from their ability to succeed because some boy who couldn't cut it in boys athletics now casually kicks all the girls' butts? What are you trying to get girls to admit to here? Ooh, boys are better. Okay, you got it. They're physically stronger. They're physically faster. That's just the science of it. The left doesn't need to make sense on the points that they're trying to push, because right now all they want people to know is that Donald Trump shouldn't be a king. And we've gotten to the point where boys can play in girls' sports, and the majority of people are just too afraid to stand up against it. They don't want to be labeled as somebody who's hateful, because they're not hateful people. We have to start speaking out and rectifying these common sense issues, not with anger, not with rage, but with conviction. And Michele Tafoya is certainly somebody who has done that. She'll be with us next to talk about protecting girls' sports. She is a huge advocate for it, and we're grateful to have her on the show with us next. Steve Moore and Kristen Neal in the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to talk a little bit of parenting, TikTok, social media, phones, all of it, and how it's damaging our kids and what us adults need to do and know to understand how to protect our children, especially mentally. That's in the 1 o'clock hour. Michele Tafoya, though, next.
From the crib to the right and the clothes. So you better let him know that if he mess up, you gotta hit him up. While he was bragging, I was coming down the villa just dragging all his pictures and his clothes in the bagging. Sold everything else till there was just nothing left.
So I've been officially going through hormone replacement therapy with Infinite Vitality now for about a week. Got my prescription right before my vacation. Decided, I'm going to start this when we come back. And in a week in of, I had my hormone levels tested. I had my thyroid tested. I've had that tested before other places, but the numbers that I got back from Infinite Vitality who I'm working with right now, they were really telling because my thyroid numbers were within the acceptable range of like what they're supposed to be, but they were at the rock bottom of what the acceptable levels were supposed to be. And I've been with doctors before who have tested this and they're like, they're low, but they're fine. Well, listen, I'm 41 and I have experienced a lot of the things that come along with the hormone disruption. I have low testosterone as well. So I'm going through testosterone therapy as well. But fatigue, brain fog, just a week in, and the clarity that I have, my ability to focus and think, it's dramatically different. And I'm only a week into this therapy. If you are experiencing this, ladies, I want you to understand that you don't have to suffer through it. It's not just, okay, I'm old, I guess that's what 40 is. Don't succumb to that. Treat yourself to vitality at Infinite Vitality. If you mentioned Annie when you call, just go get your numbers run. Just go find out the real factual information about you and make a wise decision about how to move forward. 618-486-1888. And I was mentioning, if you throw my name out there, you'll get a $50 credit towards hormone and weight loss services. 618-486-1888. Online at infinite-vitality.com.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit Truehold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FAME to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholt of Kaufman Townsley. We've won the trust of thousands of clients who are victims of careless drivers. We have the team, the talent, and the tenacity to get you the money you deserve. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
If you're looking for the best eye care in St. Louis, look no further than the doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andrew Royer. Make your appointment today at youridoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
About this to me and her saying
bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a man. How many men do you know that have this?
So there you had Riley Gaines speaking this weekend at a TPUSA event, showing off her baby bump, which was incredibly exciting to see, exciting for her, but a pioneer in advocating for girls. She is now expecting a girl. And what we need is more people like Riley Gaines who are willing to say the obvious things on behalf of our young women who are competing and wanting to do so fairly. And yet another one of those individuals, Michele Tafoya, joins us now, host of the Michele Tafoya podcast. Go to micheletaffoya.com. Michele, thank you for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you back.
Oh, it's good talking to you.
So thank you. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts. Last week, we had the Riley Gaines, Simone Biles dust up a little bit. It seemed like Simone came out of nowhere to pick a fight that she inevitably was absolutely going to lose. What do you think that we learned as consumers of media, and certainly X, in watching Simone Biles handle that the way she did, and Riley Gaines' grace in pushing back?
Yeah, Riley Gaines, it's hard to overstate just how well she makes her arguments and how calm she is when she produces those arguments. I admire her because she's so young. You don't think that someone that young would have the poise, the smarts, the wisdom, the ability to deliver the way she does time and time again, and yet she does, and she doesn't run scared from anybody. She's fearless. I first met Riley right when she started her crusade, and she and I have kept in good touch over the years. So I just admire that about her. It was surprising from Simone, although her stance was not shocking, but the way that she lashed out and called Riley truly sick and a sore loser was stunning to me, to the point where I thought, is she going to come back and claim that she got hacked? Was she not in her right mind when she did this? This is not on brand for her. Maybe it's on brand to be a social justice warrior, to be a little bit left of center, to be a little woke. But this went way too far in the way that she lashed out. And I don't think her quote unquote apology won many people back to her side.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was like, this is the minimum amount that you can say you regret. So you're saying you made a mistake in publicly saying it. It doesn't sound like you really disagree with your statement to begin with. It's unfortunate that you made it public. I wonder what you think about, of course, Riley Gaines was kind of paving the way because she herself is a swimmer at Kentucky, competed against a male and lost because of that. She experienced this firsthand. Riley Gaines did, but we need other people that are like average Janes, average Joes, men and women alike across the country, locally saying enough of this men and women's sports. Are you seeing that happen?
It's slowly happening. We've had Aaron Rodgers come out in an interview, but I have also seen firsthand people say, you know what? I don't want to go public with my thoughts on that because I've got branding issues to consider. Well, I would say, reconsider who you're affiliating yourself with brand-wise if you're concerned about stating the obvious, that this is simply unfair. It's interesting, too, someone like Martina Navratilova, very left of center, lefty. But on this issue, she is right down the common sense lane. So when Simone Biles comes out with this term competitive equity, those are two totally, that's just it's nonsense. Those two terms are at odds, completely at odds. In competition, as Simone well knows, somebody wins and somebody doesn't. So you can't just say there's room for everyone, because certainly at the Olympic level, there's not. And, sports in general, everyone wants to be inclusive and not hurt people's feelings. That's fine. No one is saying that trans people can't compete. But guess what? If you're chromosomally XX, you compete with the women. If you're XY, you compete with the men. If you want to start your own category, you can, but that furthers the fiction that there is this third gender category. And there's just not, scientifically, for those who always say, believe the science, it's just not true. Yeah. So yes, slowly but surely, to answer your first question, more people are coming to the fore. Some of us have been very vocal. Jennifer Say, Sage Steele, Riley Gaines, Megyn Kelly. But you're right. We need girls stepping away from competition if they have to. If there's a biological boy competing against them, it's really unfortunate that you have to suggest that. But you can't go along with the charade.
Yeah, it's completely true. We have to speak out. We can't be. There's so many people who are willing to be quiet because they're trying to be nice. The left has very much so labeled people, tried to cancel people, and you become every phobic or hateful word that they can come up with. So people are quiet.
Correct.
I think Donald Trump has really busted through that wall and given people kind of the permission to speak out and speak truth and not care what other people think about it.
I think he did that starting in 2016, his first go around. I think he did, and then yes, and so yeah, I think people are feeling a little bit more brave. But when it comes to worrying about if you're affiliated with a bank or a company that sells whiskey and that if you speak out on this that you're going to get hit. I think the opposite has been proven true. I mean, we saw with Bud Light, that company took a massive hit when they used Dylan Mulvaney in their advertising. I think that, you've got to understand that I think the vast majority, some people say this is an 80-20 issue. Annie, I think it's more like 95-90. If you really ask people what they really felt, I think it's 95-90. Boys should not be competing with girls.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that completely. Michele Tafoya is speaking with us right now. I wanted to ask you a little bit. We saw Caitlin Clark back on the floor against the Liberty. Now, I can speak more about the WNBA in actual, understanding because I've consumed it as a sports fan now than I ever have before. I played girls basketball through my senior year of high school. And Michele, when I played basketball, I graduated in 2002. Nobody cared about girls basketball. It was, and they didn't care about it to the extent that they wouldn't even comment on it. Like if there were some comments, a lot of times they were kind of crude and sexist, but girls just played. We wanted the opportunity to compete. We wanted to be able to go out on the floor to learn what it was like to fail and succeed together as a team, to improve ourselves. That's what girls wanted when I was growing up. Now Caitlin Clark comes onto the scene, and people care. They're complimenting her, they're criticizing her, but they care enough to comment. What are your thoughts on Caitlin Clark now that she's got a year under her belt in the WNBA, what she has done for women's sports?
Well, let me sidetrack for a second and say that Reggie Miller and I were a broadcast team on the WNBA from the league's first inception and worked together for several years covering the WNBA. He was the analyst, I was the play-by-play person, and it was a lot of fun. Remember that he is the brother of one of the pioneers of women's basketball, Cheryl Miller.
Yeah.
So there were some people who saw Cheryl Miller in LA when she was in high school and then in college who were like, whoa. And then we had Lisa Leslie and Rebecca Lobo and the UConn dynasties. Now, maybe still in the high school level, people weren't as into it. Then you get this Caitlin Clark, and she is a phenom. And when her performance against the Liberty, just get across midcourt and launch it from the logo. It's incredible what she's doing. It's incredible the consistency with what she's doing. And I love seeing her teammates rally around her. She has single-handedly raised the league to another level, raised the sport to another level. And I was one of those people who was apoplectic when they left her off the Olympic team for Paris. Because what a missed opportunity. I mean, they got viewers, but imagine if Caitlin had been on that team. The viewership would have been double at least. So it's going to be fun to watch her in LA, assuming she's on the team in LA. She's brought a whole new feel to that league because she's a generational talent with skill that we've never seen in the women's game before.
Do you think that, I think she's masterful at how she sees all of the political noise coming at her. She just kind of creates a barrier for herself. She doesn't feel the need to combat it. She just knows that it's there, and she's like, I'm just here to play basketball. Is she a political figure in our time, even if she's unwillingly so?
Well, I think she dipped her toe into it when she started talking about the fact that she felt she had white privilege and that, she wanted to make sure she brought attention to all the Black women who built the game. And she said something, and I'm going to sort of go over it lightly here what she said because I don't have her exact words in front of me, but she said something to the effect of, I've worked really hard and I feel I earn what I have, but she didn't need to say but. She has worked her ass off and she's earned everything that she has. Period. Full stop. It's not her fault that she is white. Now, what she's bringing is a bunch of eyeballs who are learning about a bunch of other players. I'll point out that the top three players in the top three paid players in the WNBA are all African American. They're black women, and that's awesome. And they deserve every penny they're getting. I don't think people like Paige Beckers and Caitlin need to apologize for being white and acknowledge their white privilege, because I just, that to me exacerbates the problem. It just keeps drawing attention to this differentiation. Hey, just be part of the league. Just be a player. Just be a woman. Just be who you are, a superior talent. But Caitlin does do a good job. That's where I've been critical of both her and Paige in their kind of acknowledgement of their white privilege. They don't need to do that. I pray for the day that ends. Just be themselves on the court, be the players that they are, and that is enough. And I understand them wanting to support their teammates and women throughout the league. That's fine, but we've been doing that for years. It's just that they don't really read their history and know that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think she's done a really good job of handling the pressure, because there's so much pressure. That slip up there, I always try to focus on the first part. She did say she didn't feel bad for being white. And she said she did, or she also mentioned that she felt like she earned everything that she got.
She did. Yeah.
So she's doing the best she can. Well, Michele, we appreciate you. We love that you speak out so consistently on behalf of girls. And I want other people to hear that voice and feel emboldened to do the same. So thanks for doing that with us here on our show today.
Anytime, Annie. Take care.
You as well. Bye-bye. Michele Tafoya is the host of the Michele Tafoya podcast. Spent a lot of years in sports, not just women's sports, but she knows a lot about what is going on athletic fields across the country. She's wonderful and great to have her on the show with us. Let's take a quick break. Wiggins America, when we come back, the Monday Roundup. Everything that you missed this weekend that Ryan thinks you should need to know. It's a fair assessment?
I don't know. It's kind of localizing it to me too much when really this is everything you need to know.
The segment is called Wiggins America.
And I'm fine with that too.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
ArtisticDecks.net. Man, if you have spent any of this weekend outside, and it's a little cooler than I thought it was going to be over the course of a traditional Father's Day weekend, and it was beautiful. I spent a lot of time outside, and being able to do that on a place of your own, at your home, you extend that living space into your backyard, and you get to enjoy it this summer when you call Artistic Decks. The dream deck that you've been hoping for is affordable when you call 314-280-0821. 314-280-0821. Call Artistic Decks and let them know that you are interested in a free estimate. They come out, provide you free design and consultation. They handle the whole permitting process. And if you go over 500 square feet, they're going to offer you a discount on top of that. And when you make that phone call and you get in line right now, you can have the deck done by the end of summer. 314-280-0821. That's 314-280-0821. ArtisticDecks.net.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You care about every detail, and so does Purina. Every ingredient in their pet food comes from trusted sources, and every ingredient has a purpose. Whether that purpose is to provide just the right nutrients your pet needs or a flavor they will love, Purina has over 250 recipes made without artificial flavors or preservatives for you to choose from. You're sure to find something both you and your pet will love. Learn more at Purina.com/Purina Cares.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches in my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said, I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me. I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around this store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches on my feet stopped hurting and the pain instantly, literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? That is today's YouTube live chat poll here on Monday, the 16th of June. Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? It's a simple yes or no. Let us know what you think. It is 12:46, and this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Tuesday, Democrats are already trying to blame Trump for the shooting in Minnesota. We'll talk to Tide Pyro from Fox News at 7:20.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9.
Baby, can't you see I'm calling? A guy like you should wear a warning. It's dangerous. I'm falling. There's no escape. I can't wait. I need a hit. Baby, give me it. You're dangerous. I'm loving it.
It's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But sometimes they have to fight it out. But we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
So earlier today, they're in Canada, right? The G7.
For G7,
yes,
good. They're in
Kananaskis. Kananaskis.
It's pronounced Canada. Not Canada.
That's annoyingly funny. It's like Kankanskis. I don't know how to say that. But yes, Canada. And Trump said that Iran is asking. He's heard that they are asking for cooler heads to prevail now. It's like, oh, Iran, really? You don't say. The YouTube live chat poll, do you support Israel's attack on Iran? Yes or no? Especially in the conservative side of the aisle. I've seen some division on like, there's in certain places on the right side of the aisle waning interest in supporting Israel, but there are also certain places on the left side of the aisle with fortified support for Israel. So the topic is not a red-blue topic. It's a little more complicated than that. So we want to know from you if you support Israel's attack on Iran. Annie Fry YouTube channel, YouTube.com/@AnnieFry. Let's get to it.
Wiggins. Oh, Monday Roundup. Yeah, this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Start with the most important. Spaceballs is coming back.
I had this story for Friday and forgot to talk about it. What do you know about it?
I did too. This is everything we know about it is simply that Bill Pullman and Rick Moranis are both coming back.
Is it Bill Pullman's son that's also going to be in it?
If his last name isn't Pullman, then I don't know because there's no other.
It is. I thought it was.
I haven't seen that at all. This is supposed to be everything you could possibly know in this article, and it doesn't say that. maybe that was announced since this article, which was, a day ago. The plot is completely under wraps.
I was just going to say, there's no tip on why we need to do another one?
No. Keke Palmer is going to be in it. Josh Gad apparently is associated with it.
What is Olaf going to do?
I don't know. But that's about all we know. Did you watch the trailer this weekend?
For the new one?
Yeah.
No.
It's basically just a scroll like the open of Spaceballs, the original, where it's like Star Wars, where it just goes into the distance. And it just said, since the last one was made, here's all the different things that have happened.
TheVerge.com says Brooks will be reprising the role of Yogurt. Bill Pullman and Rick Moranis will be back as Lone Star and Dark Helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Deadline reports Lewis Pullman, Bill Pullman's son, Josh Gad, and Keke Palmer are also set to star in the film.
Well, there you go.
Lewis Pullman.
Yeah, I don't know exactly who's going to be the star of the movie. I would guess that Rick Moranis and Bill Pullman will not be the main drivers of the movie since they're adding all these new characters. But you don't know. And in fact, the only person that appeared in the trailer at all was Mel Brooks.
98 years old?
98 now. He'll be over 100 when the movie comes out.
Is there any possibility that this movie is good?
Yeah, there's a possibility.
Oh, man, this is a tall order.
Yeah, it is.
Spaceballs is maybe top 3 movies I've ever seen. Wait, stop. Ethan, have you ever seen Spaceballs?
No.
God dang
Oh
it,
my
Ethan,
gosh.
come on.
Dude.
In fact,
he was awfully quiet.
Yeah, I haven't.
Do you know what the movie's about?
No. Space and balls. I don't know.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But Ethan, can I send you on assignment?
Oh God.
Will you please watch Spaceballs? Okay, Ethan is executive producing the show all week. By Friday.
Oh.
Will you please watch Spaceballs?
How pertinent is it that I watch this movie?
High priority.
Your job depends on it. I don't have that authority, but I can put in a word. Don't you want to know? Like, I trust Ethan. Don't you want to know if Ethan thinks it's funny?
Yeah, he's got a good sense of humor too, so he'll be able to tell us what this generation coming at it fresh would be like. It's great radio. It's great radio.
Spaceballs.
How long is it?
It's a feature-length
It's
film.
not too long. It's one of the best movies ever made.
Where can I watch it? I need this information.
I will buy it
I
for
think
you.
It's on one of the major
I don't want to work.
platforms.
I do not want to work for it.
I will go to your house and log in on Amazon Prime and sit you down. I will get you popcorn. I got you coffee today.
Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
Have you ever seen a Mel Brooks film?
No, I don't.
Robin
think
Hood
so.
Men in Tights?
No.
Blazing Saddles.
No. Wait, Blazing Saddles. What's that one? Is that Will Ferrell? Is Will Ferrell in that one?
God dang it.
No.
How old are you?
Will Ferrell may
24.
not have been alive, so he was really young.
No, I've never heard of that one.
24.
Well, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Wow.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Just
Carl
I'm a
Reiner,
baby.
also very funny.
I'm a
And when the
baby.
two of them get together, man, they made some great stuff.
Will you please watch it by the end of the week?
I'll give my best effort
When are the Cardinals off this week?
today.
Guess what you're doing tonight?
God.
Spaceballs. I'm just warning you
Should've
right now.
I mean, they're not off at all. They're busy.
I rewatched it recently. The movie really doesn't have a super strong plot.
Spaceballs?
Yeah, they're trying to get the air. That's pretty much it. And it's just a bunch of scenes.
She's gone from suck to low.
So it has a trajectory to it.
If we only quoted Spaceballs for the rest of the day, Ethan would just affirmatively nod and say, yeah.
Just sit here like, alrighty.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Well, that's the only thing that mattered over the weekend.
That's right. Now here's one
That's
that's
so sad.
I know.
He was not amused at all or excited at all about Spaceballs 2.
I saw it on Friday, like the news break. I was like, okay, it's good to know.
Absolutely not.
Man. The news was broken on this show, I think, by Michael Winslow when he was on it. He was hoping to be in it. We still don't know.
I wasn't here.
The next story is that the Trump Organization, the holding company for President Donald Trump's business ventures, announced the launch of a new cell service and cell phone on June 16th. That was today, dubbed Trump Mobile. The network will
Maybe
offer,
it's mobile.
I don't know. Depends on if you listen to The Who or not.
Mobile.
The network will offer 5G service through the 47 plan. I mean, really?
They've had to copyright the number 47.
The flagship plan is available for $47.45 per month. $47 $1.45 per month, a nod to the president's first and second terms. I think you can even find cheaper plans than that. That's not
You're
even.
looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now. What happened to then? Past then. When? Just now. We're at now. Go back to then. When? Now. Now? I can't. Why? We missed it. When? Just now. When will then be now? Soon.
Ethan, it's full of scenes
so
like
funny.
that do not advance the plot. There's nothing happening.
That was from Spaceballs.
They're just examining.
Oh!
They're examining where they are in the movie at that moment.
It's like a who's on first kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. It's all of that. It's very gaggy.
At last, we meet for the first time for the last time.
Is that it? That was the end of that one.
Yeah, I got a few.
When the president is Mel Brooks, he shows up and his butt's on backwards.
Why didn't anyone tell me my butt is this huge? Edited.
Right, yeah. TV version.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Same combinations on my luggage. All right.
What a Monday roundup.
It's just Spaceballs
It's a Spaceballs
quotes.
roundup.
That's the name of this hour. Just Spaceball quotes. What do you think about Trump Mobile before we hit the end of this here?
I'm for more options that give people, competition breeds better product service for the consumer. I'm not running to buy anything just because Donald Trump's name is on it.
This kind of stuff I thought was funny and fine before he was president.
Well,
now I'm like, dude, focus on this.
This is not Donald Trump doing this.
Obviously, he's not, creating the phone.
Eric Trump's involved in all of it.
Yeah.
But before, to me, it was like, oh, you can do this. And then I always thought you were making a donation to getting him back into the presidency. Now that he's there.
I know.
All right, stick around. We're going to talk to Steve Moore next on the economy. We'll be right back.
It's getting late to give you up. I took a sip from my devil's cup. Slowly, it's taking over.
If it's time for new windows, there's only one place to call. That is Window World. Mark Cox here. Call my friends at Window World at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate today. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to send someone out to explain all of it to you. You can even schedule right online at windowworldstl.com. There's a lot of high-interest financing out there, but here's what Window World's doing. Right now, they're offering 18 up to 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. You can't beat that. You also get a lifetime warranty that covers all of the parts, the glass breakage, and labor. Who else stands behind their product like that? Over half the appointments Window World will set this year are from previous customers or referrals from those customers. That is a testimony to their customer service, their quality, and their commitment to creating loyal customers. That's what you get with Window World. Call them at 314-993-1800, windowworldstl.com.
The Retirement Advisory Group is online at retirementkey.com. And I want you to give them the opportunity to explain exactly what they can do to secure a peaceful retirement. Everybody thinks about that. You're spending all of your working years. Yeah, you probably love what you do. You get to the end and you love it a little bit less, and you're thinking a little bit more about all of the money you've saved. And then you start to worry. You start to think, gosh, but did I do enough? You worked your tail off for this. You sacrificed for this. You need to make sure that it's going to work for you in retirement. And you want the experts who can make sure that that's the case or help guide you to get to that place where you have a worry-free retirement. 314-993-9494. When you set up an appointment with them, there's no obligation at the end to do anything, and it doesn't cost you a penny to have that initial conversation. 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. Call the folks at the Retirement Advisory Group and tell them that Annie sent you online at retirementkey.com.
Hey guys, it's Mark Reardon. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
The Zoo Football Football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
World leaders with a lot to talk about. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney just opening the G7 summit in Alberta.
And we're gathering at one of those turning points in history. I think we all recognize that turning point where the world looks to this table for leadership.
The meeting overshadowed by the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran. President Trump telling reporters that Iran wants to talk and that they should make a nuclear deal before it's too late. State TV in Iran, one of Israel's latest targets.
It was live on Iranian state TV as the reporter talked about aggression against the homeland when Israel seemed to score a direct hit. She hurries off camera as debris starts to fall. Israel's defense minister says they attacked the state broadcaster after telling local residents to evacuate. Earlier, Israel said it now controlled the airspace above Iran's capital, Tehran.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Israel also says 1/3 of Iran's missile launchers have been destroyed. More than 20 Israelis have been killed in waves of retaliatory strikes. Federal prosecutors call it a political assassination, announcing federal stalking and murder charges against Vance Belter, the man accused of killing Democratic State Rep Melissa Hortman and her husband over the weekend. He's due in court this afternoon as a makeshift memorial grows outside the Minnesota Capitol.
This woman who works at the Capitol says Hortman was always kind.
She was a real advocate for Minnesotans, and that's something that we should cherish and support, regardless of political affiliation.
Democratic State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were also shot and injured, releasing a statement saying they're lucky to be alive and humbled by the outpouring of love from across the state and the nation.
Fox's Jeff Bonasso. Prosecutors say Belter went to at least 4 homes Saturday night, posing as a law enforcement officer. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The summer feel in place, mainly due to the high humidity than anything else, a mix of clouds and sunshine going through the afternoon. Could be a shower here and there, maybe a rumble of thunder. 84 for the high. Tonight, plenty of clouds, a couple of scattered showers, maybe a thunder shower. 68 Tuesday, partly sunny. A spot shower, mainly a dry day Tuesday at 92. Best chance of severe weather on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
So STS Armory, I've been talking about STS Armory for a long time. I love partnering with them. I go to them for everything I need: firearms, ammunition, safety, security, safe devices to store firearms in. I am going to be there this Saturday. They have an open house, grand opening and customer appreciation event happening this Saturday, June 21st from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. They have a brand new location in Pontoon Beach, Illinois. They were in Pontoon Beach and they built a new facility exactly for all of the needs that they had to serve you. It's on Petroff Plaza in Pontoon Beach, Illinois. Again, STS Armory's grand opening and customer appreciation happening all day from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I think I'm going to be there in the afternoon. And I would love to see you. Please check out sts-armory.com to learn about everything that they have to offer you and mark it on your calendar for this Saturday, their grand opening customer appreciation event this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Their address is 3427 Petroff Plaza in Pontoon Beach, Illinois. I'll be there in the afternoon. I'd love to see you. I'll give you more details about that later on this week. Come to the grand opening. Come say hi to STS Armory. Come say hi to me. You can find them online at sts-armory.com.
When my wife and I got married after both graduating law school, we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Ultima had to give me her gas card just to drive home. We never could have imagined that one day we would have the largest injury firm in the world and $25 billion in money collected and counting. As good Catholics, we had 4 children fast. They all work in the firm today. Our family protecting yours. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. But our greatest gift was years away, grandchildren. Today we have 6 and counting. It's the greatest joy that we have ever experienced. I think about them all day long. Our family promises to protect your family should you need us. Call us. It's easy. Visit forthepeople.com and make sure you hug your grandchildren. God's final gift to us. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Spring into a new home with amazing savings at TR Hughes. Hi, I'm Jason Hughes with TR Hughes Homes, and we are currently offering half off up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs on brand new to-be-built homes at select TR Hughes communities. That's right, half up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs. Visit trhughes.com for details.
The choice of a home builder is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
However, you really should visit trhughes.com.
Hi, Chad Hansen with Hansen's Tree Service. Spring is a great time for tree maintenance and removal. At Hansen's Tree Service, we have a full staff of certified arborists that can help you with everything you need when it comes to tree care. Get ahead of spring storms and check us out at hansenstree.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not married to sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not married to sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry
The
Show.
latest plan in Washington to support families with young children, the Trump account. It would give every American born between this year and January of 2029 a one-time $1,000 contribution to an investment account tracking a stock index. When the child turns 18, he or she could use the money in the account for education, to start a business, or buy a home.
Republicans are proud to be the party, we always have been, that supports life and families and prosperity and opportunity. And Trump accounts are all about setting up the next generation for success.
Well, what else is in the big, beautiful bill is the making permanent those really important Trump tax cuts that our friend Steve Moore has been talking about for a minute. And he joins us once again, the distinguished fellow in economics at the Heritage Foundation, a Trump economic advisor. Steve Moore, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, Annie. Good to be with you.
Thank you so much. Now, we're a little bit closer than the last time you and I spoke to this big, beautiful bill getting signed into law. The Senate is going to have their way with it. How do you feel right now about the permanency of those Trump tax cuts?
Pretty good. You're right. We're in better shape than we were just a few weeks ago, the last time we talked. By later this afternoon, we're expecting the Senate to announce what is in their bill.
Mm-hmm.
And so the House already passed a bill, and now we need to get this through the Senate. And then I think we're well on our way. So I'm feeling good about things. I say it every time on your show, we have to do this or else we're facing a $4 trillion tax increase on January 1st. So failure is not an option.
Yeah.
And every single Democrat in the House and Senate voted for the $4 trillion tax increase. So that's not a very good a good sign. But I think we can do this with only Republican votes.
Steve Moore speaking with us right now. So I'm glad you brought that up because, we saw No Kings protests take place over the course of the weekend. And all I can gather from the opposition here in this country that lost to a majority of voters who chose Donald Trump is that they just hate Donald Trump. But when you have Democrats in Congress voting against these things, what do the congressional Democrats, what do they offer instead of making these Trump tax cuts permanent? What's the alternative?
That's a great question. And I'm thinking.
It's nothing.
Gee, what do they offer? More taxes, soak the rich, hit businesses with new taxes, open the borders, higher energy prices. So it's sad, actually. By the way, I'm not a rah-rah Republican. I never pretend to tell people Republicans are the solution to all our problems because, the overspending and debt problem is a bipartisan problem in Washington. Let's be very frank about that. But Democrats have become so wedded to big and powerful government that they don't care about the private sector now. It's all about growing the government and governmental power, which is ironic because they're the ones who said no kings when they're the ones who, under Joe Biden had all these executive orders that were so counterproductive and they were never passed by Congress. And by the way, I don't even like, the fact that Trump is doing this. We should have Congress approving these things. And that's why we have a legislative branch. And Congress has abdicated their responsibility on a lot of these issues.
There's some dissension within Republican voters that have watched the House version of the big, beautiful bill. They don't think it cuts enough spending. They want to see more. And I'm hearing from people who are in the mix saying, listen, at some point, you just got to do the best work that you can do. And this is the big, beautiful bill is the best work the House can do. What's your assessment of that?
Yeah, well, Annie, I very much doubt that you have anybody on your show who wants to cut government spending as much as I do.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
I'm very much in favor of, taking an axe to this budget and cutting at least $1 trillion a year out of the spending. And I got to tell you, I think we could easily do that. And most Americans wouldn't even know that the spending is missing. So I'm very much in favor of dramatic cuts in our budget. And to his credit, Elon Musk showed us how it can be done by just modernizing our government, getting rid of the duplication, getting rid of the fraud, getting rid of the waste. The fact is that you've got all these federal employees for the last 3 years haven't even been showing up for work. Come on, get a job. If you're not going to do that job, we're not going to pay you anymore. So there's a lot of ways we could cut the spending, but we do have to. What I object to is some of my friends, and the conservative movement saying, well, let's hold the tax bill hostage. And I think that's dangerous because then we might not be able to get that done. And if we get that done, we don't get that done, Republicans will clearly lose the House and Senate.
Yeah.
In November of next year.
It would be devastating, certainly. Before we let you go, we know you've got to run here in just a second. You've also been very clear with us on the show that you're not a tariff guy. You understand that Donald Trump is very much a tariff guy. This far into the system that Donald Trump is putting into place, have your thoughts on what Donald Trump is trying to do with tariffs? Have they moved at all?
Look, I think, I'm not a big fan of tariffs. I do like the idea of having a level playing field and using American power to force other countries to lower their punitive tariffs on America so we get more jobs here. So I applaud Trump for that. And I'd say, remember the first 2 months were pretty brutal. Remember in the middle of April, it looked like I was on the ledge ready to jump off. I mean, I've lost so much money. But look at the stock market now. It's unbelievable. It's at all-time highs. We've got very low inflation, according to the latest report. We've got good jobs numbers. I mean, you got to, if you're a Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, you got to admit things are going pretty well right now. And I think part of that is because Trump has been able to get some of these trade deals done with some of our big trading partners. Now, the big one, of course, is China, and we'll see how that turns out. I'm a little skeptical about China because I don't trust those people in Beijing. They're communists. But, I feel like the economy, as I said on Fox News last night, I give it a B+. It's a pretty strong economy, and it's a lot better than it was when Biden was president.
Steve Moore, thank you for the time today. We're always grateful for it. We know you're a busy guy. We look forward to having you back again soon.
All right. Have a great one. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Steve Moore, Distinguished Fellow in Economics at the Heritage Foundation, a Trump economic advisor. And one of the things I appreciate about him greatly is his willingness to say, like, he's consistent. This guy This guy is he big on the Trump tax cuts, which he was a very big part of constructing in Donald Trump's first term. That they have to get it through, and he had to run because he had a place to go. He's in high demand, and we're always grateful when we have him in. Ethan, I know you're over there working right now, but when I'm just curious, as we mentioned before, you're too young to understand what Spaceballs is, and I don't hold that against you. I can think of movies and that were like classic movies that my parents' generation would talk about, and I've never seen them. And
yeah, what would that have been like? Don't get offended. It's
Easy.
A question. Is it like The Wizard of Oz? Is that too old? Like,
no, Wizard
would
of
that
Oz
be good? Well, a good example.
That would be a good one. But I've seen The Wizard of Oz. But when you are generationally detached, if you didn't have someone heavily influencing the exposure to certain things like that, then I can see how that would be like. Yeah, I've heard about it. Everybody says it's great, but I'm always curious of the generational detachment and the advancement in entertainment and everything that would make it not relevant to your generation as it was before. But I want to ask you, as a young person on the show, when it comes to everything economy, to me, the economy and foreign policy are the two issues that happen that are heavily influenced by who you elect and send to Washington, D.C., who you elect in Missouri and send to Jefferson City, in Illinois to Springfield, or wherever you might be, even your local governments, specifically with the economy. When you hear talks about tariffs, when you hear talks about, different types of taxes, that clip we played at the beginning where, the Trump party is looking to invest in families in the future. Do you lean into that at 24 years young and want to know all the details? Is there a part of you that still just wants to trust the big guys and gals in these important places to just work it out for you?
That's a really good question. And I think a lot of it has to do with, and this is different for the person, is how much you're willing to take, right? Because there's so much that goes into it, and understanding
it changes fast too.
All of the economics in the financial world, and how it affects you. I think there's a responsibility for you to understand how it's going to affect you, and that's part of being a voter, is right, having that knowledge. But there is a level to it to where it gets sometimes so overwhelming that it's like I can't, for my own personal health.
Yeah,
I can't go that far with it. So I think it's a balance of both, right? To where you have to have a certain understanding and knowledge of it. But unfortunately, we should feel like we can trust our politicians to know what they're doing and to handle part of it, because let's be honest, it's supposed to be their area of expertise, not ours.
Exactly. And I think everybody in their own line of work, you're 24, so a lot of your peers are probably graduated or graduating college or getting into their careers and everything. If you're somebody who's in economics, for instance, I have a family member who is like a tax attorney, advises on how wealthy people, how they should place their money and things that they should do. The niche that you have great expertise would be super helpful in navigating all of these conversations, where the rest of us rubes are just like, the stock market is up, so I think the economy is good. And it's like, oh honey, like that's not even the half of it. Ryan, would you say that, like, how invested from a heart and a head standpoint are you in the economy and what people are doing to affect the economy?
I would say it's one of my top interests is the economy.
And that's a good word, because it's an interest. It affects you whether you're interested in it or not. Like you got
to deal with it one way or another.
You could choose to. I think a lot of people do that with foreign policy too. Like
although it doesn't affect you as deliberately as the economy does.
The foreign policy?
Yeah.
Well, that's, my point is that, like, it doesn't matter how much you care about it. The thing you get to do is vote. And if you vote, and like, for instance, for the sake of the two of us, and you're in Illinois and everything is blue, that's just what you get. And if you want to do better, you're going to have to do more than vote. You're going to have to show up and persuade people. But the economy is something that whether you invest interest in it or not, it will affect you greatly. And your participation in the process can garner, especially with the more local you get, a more positive outcome for you. But what Donald Trump is trying to do, in my opinion, is so transformative that you have to have a full grasp of how things actually function to understand why he wants to do things so dramatically different.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And it's stuff that economists typically don't debate. So they're debating fiscal policy on raising interest rates and things in the Fed and back and forth. What are bond rates like right now? This kind of like,
where's
the Treasury and all these things? And then Donald Trump comes in and goes, we're putting 150% tariff on this country. You're like, that's not even part of the conversation.
It kind of sounds like, and lefties, don't take this out and run with it. It kind of sounds like Dr. Evil saying $1 million. And then he's like, $1 trillion.
And everybody goes,
yeah. And I mean, like, when I'm listening to some of these economists, and I consider myself, I could get a passing grade on explaining what's happening, but I'm not sitting here coming up with my own economic philosophies on how we could maybe try something brand new and do something different. That's not what's happening with me, because I'm working my tail off to keep up with things. But the stuff really matters. And again, going back to how I opened the show earlier today, Saturday was an incredibly busy news day. There are a lot of things that you could throw yourself into and consume all day long regarding the news and the politics of what was going on. But I was golfing. So I just kind of was like, meh. All of these things that Donald Trump is doing right now, it's almost too involved for a lot of Americans to formulate their own thoughts on. So it's very easy to pull back and be like, do I like Trump or not? And if you don't like Trump, then you can get thousands of people to show up and say, we don't want a king. And Republicans on the other side are like, yeah, us either. July 4th, we the people of the United States, in order to form, I mean, like, we're here. Like, it's this no kings thing is the predicate for the United States of America. And we don't have a king. And if you're paying attention to what Donald Trump is doing and saying, you would understand that. But if it's complicated and it takes work and effort to understand why he might be doing things differently than have been done in the past, it's just a lot easier to say, I hate Trump, and go with it.
It is, because there's so much happening. You asked Ethan about the economy, and the one thing I hear from Gen Z, and this is just a general overview, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle that they're on, Gen Z, you always hear one of these same themes coming up, which is, I can't afford anything.
Yeah.
And that's always a young generation because they don't make much money. Everybody at that age goes, I can't afford anything.
Except for they're making a ton of money compared to what we made at that time.
And they've seen inflation in action in ways that other generations have not seen.
Yeah.
And so there's this growing dissatisfaction with the way the economy had been working. And so Trump comes in and says, I'm going to blow it all up and do things completely different. And there's kind of okay, let's see where that goes. Because everybody goes, we don't like the way that went.
I remember when I first got a raise that put me over $7 an hour. And I felt good about that.
I remember leaving nights from one of the golf courses I worked at with $40 in tips, thinking,
but you could do stuff for $40.
I'm going to have an amazing weekend.
Yeah.
$40.
Yeah, completely. Ugh, times are changing. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to speak with the president and CEO of Greenway Therapy. We're going to have Kristen Neal back on the show. I'm excited to talk to her. She's a licensed professional counselor. And I think it was Virginia. I'll have the details of the story for you when we come back. Virginia, I think it was, passed a law that limits how much kids can be exposed to social media daily. Have you seen this?
Mm-mm.
Is that to indicate that social media, phone usage, all of these different applications that our kids are using all the time on their phones are harming their mental health? And what are you supposed to do about it, especially from a generation that didn't grow up with it? Kristen Neal, she has the advice when we come back.
So close to you. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Up on my sleeve like a big deal. You need to reach out to Air Comfort Service when the air conditioner unit in your home is not functioning the way it's supposed to. You've got Air Comfort Service at the ready to come make that process of assessing the problem and helping fix the problem obviously avoiding having to replace the problem because that's going to be expensive. Maybe that's what you have to do. But don't you want somebody who's going to come in and give you an honest opinion as to what needs to happen next? I made that phone call to Air Comfort Service myself on multiple occasions with a furnace, with an air conditioner. Our house was about 22 years old. And guess what? Everything starts crapping out at around 2 decades into its service. And Air Comfort Service gave us options. They said, yeah, we can repair it. It's going to cost this much. And it was less than the replacement. But you have to ask yourself, and you're the only one who can make the decision as to what you can actually make workable. Call Air Comfort Service at 314-513-0091 if you need a repair, if you need an assessment, a maintenance check. Also, for those in commercial businesses that might have an issue with the cooling in your place of work, you can call Air Comfort Service at 314-513-0091 and get a free second opinion on a heat exchanger or compressor repairs. Just reach out to them and tell them Annie sent you. You can trust Air Comfort Service. I am a customer of theirs. I trust them wholeheartedly. They're good people, and they're waiting for your call. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Taco to go, taco to, and a big Q. Taco to go, taco to go. Quick Trip Taco, just $2.99. Comes with a big Q, this deal so fine. Brisket breakfast, so much to choose for $2.99. You really can't lose. Taco to go, taco to, this deal legit. Taco to go, taco, only at Quick Trip. Taco to go, taco to go, taco to go, $2.99 to go.
Get ready, St. Louis. The Cubs are coming to town June 23rd through the 26th. The Cardinals host baseball's best rivalry at Busch Stadium in a series that always delivers. The Chicago STL rivalry is legendary, and the energy in the ballpark will be electric. It's the perfect way to spend a summer day or night at the ballpark with passionate fans and nonstop action. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com/tickets.
Hey, this is Sonny Gray, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Catch a Cardinals game on your next date night or friends night out. Whether it's love in the stands or laughter with your crew, nothing beats ballpark vibes under the lights. Cold drinks, great eats, and Cardinals baseball. Check out Friday Night Live at Busch Stadium and enjoy happy hour price food and drinks all game long. Every Friday home game. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com and make memories that go beyond the scoreboard. Busch Stadium, where great nights begin.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
1 in 4 people surveyed by Bankrate.com say they're literally losing sleep because of worries that they may have not saved enough to retire. If you're ready to get serious about planning for your financial future, you could start by listening to the All Financial Hour with host Steve All of the All Financial Group.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different. If you want assistance, we can also help you at that point.
Tune in to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-472-0467. 800-472-0467. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-472-0467.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
All the small things, true care, truth brings. I'll take.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
You're right, best trip. Always, I know you'll be at my show. Watching, waiting, commiserating. Say it ain't so, I will not go. Turn the lights off.
Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Of offering women very binary extremes has long faded, but that unfortunately is not the case, and it stems back way further than me at just 15 years old. And we often talk about the boy crisis, which I think is very important, rightfully so. That is a good conversation to have. But there is also a girl crisis that we are facing that I think often gets ignored. The fact that 1 in 4 women are on some kind of psychiatric medication. The fact that teenage girls are twice as likely to experience clinical depression and anxiety. The fact that they are more likely to experience gender dysphoria, significantly more likely to self-harm.
There's Brett Cooper talking about something that has been taking place in our society and I think growing very much. Young girls, what their exposure is to agents that are causing them to be even less confident, even more anxious about the world around them. I don't know that any junior high girl, high school girl, even into college, you don't go through that. It's not easy. It like forges you to go through that experience. But there are so many things being set up right now that push back against the normal way to go through that. It's a lot of pressure. Let's bring our friend Kristen Neal onto the show. She's the president and CEO of Greenway Therapy, a licensed professional counselor. I encourage you to go to begintalking.com to learn more about what she is doing and how you can connect with her and her team here in St. Louis. Kristen, welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Annie.
Yep.
It's exciting to be back.
It's exciting. It's exciting to talk to you about these issues. These are very personal to me. I have 3 girls myself. I have a 15-year-old son, and to think that this stuff doesn't affect young men either is ridiculous. There's a story, Tracy Swartz wrote it, says doctors warning about insidious social media trend damaging teen girls' health, with girls as young as 7 taking part. Their social media trends, they obsess about beauty, about physical image and everything. Our kids are under attack with all of these outside messages coming in. Social media is a huge part of it. What do you see in your experience, especially like with parents who are struggling with managing this for their children? It's new.
Yeah.
Tell us your thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought up the parents because that's really where it starts. And I notice that parents feel like really powerless and they feel torn and they don't know what to do with their teenagers that are just on social media and scrolling and scrolling. And something that I hear from parents a lot is, this is how my child connects with their friends, and I don't want to take away their Snapchat or whatever platform that they're on, because then they're going to be depressed and they're going to be upset and they're not going to have access to their friends. Well, we have something called texting and kids can use that. And so my advice to parents is, you need to take that away. And every kid is different, but there's obviously an epidemic of children suffering from anxiety and depression and body dysmorphia and all these things because most kids need help regulating themselves. And it's really hard for parents to set up controls on like Snapchat, for instance, or TikTok or whatever they're on, because it's just the algorithm takes control. It figures out what they're interested in, and then they're just being flooded with all of these images and videos. And my best advice is to not allow them to have it.
I think that's important advice. I think it's something that parents know that, but there's the enormous pressure that parents are under. I've experienced this myself. Yeah. Like you're basically isolating your kid in certain instances when you're the one who says no. And then, I've had conversations with other parents that have allowed Snapchat, that have allowed TikTok, that have allowed some of these other social media platforms. I have never had a parent who is like, I'm really glad I gave that to them.
No, it's a horrible idea. What's awesome is that technology is starting to catch up, and now there are actual devices that you can get your kid, like the Gab cell phone, where it's a smartphone, but they don't have any web access. They can't put apps on their phone. They can use it like a normal phone. Bark has one too. And then there's all sorts of like parental controls that you can put on these phones, but the kids have figured out how to get around it. So my solution is to give teenagers a basic cell phone so that they can get a hold of their friends. You can track them. You can get a hold of them at soccer practice or whatever.
Right.
And they just can't get on the social media. And that's not to say they're not going to try to get on it on their computer, or they're not going to have a workaround, but the job of a parent is to make it a lot harder for them to do this.
Yeah.
Because they are going to be obsessed. Like when you're a 14-year-old girl, like and you're developing, you're interested in that kind of stuff. You're interested in makeup and your body and how it's forming. And it's way too advanced these days.
Kristen, this is Ryan. Yeah. The concerns that mostly kids are bringing up, and maybe even some parents, about, but they'll be socially outcast. They won't be connected in the same way as their friends. Therefore, I shouldn't go through with taking away the phone or social media. Have you ever seen that actually play out, where the parent goes through with it, and then it was like, yeah, that was a huge concern?
No. As a matter of fact, I know a mom, I think she's got 5 kids. Every single one of her kids they're not allowed to have sleepovers, and they are not allowed social media until they go to college. And every single one of those kids is well adjusted. There will be some complaints here and there, but the norm in the family is you're not getting this, and they don't change their minds about it. And the parents feel some pressure, but they don't back down. It is harder, like once you let the genie out of the bottle, it's harder to put it back in.
Yeah.
But you just explain to your kid, like, this is all new. This is like the first time that any parent has had to parent through this. So we were wrong. You're not ready, but also these companies are really trying to take advantage of your interests to try to sell you products and all sorts of things, but it's having this like secondary impact that, I'm sure these companies don't intend for kids to be anxious and depressed, but they are.
Yeah.
They're kids.
Yeah.
They're very impressionable. I'm impressionable. I'm 42 years old.
Amen. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I'm on this Facebook group. I encourage people to follow this Facebook group. It's like called Parenting in a Tech World or something, mostly because it will make you feel a lot less alone in the issues you're facing.
Yeah.
But one of the things that gets talked about a lot online, I will go into it from time to time here. It's a touchy subject. So for little ears that are listening right now, I'm going to say this in a way directed away from those ears. But the access that girls have, but also that boys have, like pornography is something that is permeating every, like YouTube Kids. You can get where you're not supposed to get on YouTube Kids. Like there's constantly things that are trying to work their way. They're seeking out your children. And I always think as a parent in real life, like I'm always on guard for my children. I'm always anticipating the worst case scenario as mom, trying to make sure that my kids, that these bad actors can't get to my kids. And when our children come to us and say like, oh, but everybody else is doing it, everybody else has it, like there's really, I can't think of many other instances as a parent where we're like, okay, like you can have it if everybody else is doing it. Talk to me about some of the things that, like pornography being a main one, especially for young boys, like how dangerous, like life altering it can be to get in that loop that, like you said, these social media algorithms find out what your interests are, and interest isn't something that you're like happily seeking out positively. It's the stuff that the algorithm has determined that you will consume.
Yeah, absolutely. So funny this comes up. A local police department contacted me maybe like 3 weeks ago, and they have a special department. I don't know the lingo, but they have a special team at their police department that combats this. And they're like, these kids are being exposed so young that now they are addicted to porn, and now they're also offending. And they're like, we need help. We don't know who to go to help treat these kids in therapy so they don't grow up and become offenders as adults. And it's a slippery slope. We have the birds and the bees talk with our kids, and then you also now have to have the talk about consuming this kind of media, and talk to your kids about what it does to their brain. And I mean, it really wreaks havoc on their natural sex life as they get older. You know, it just makes everything harder.
And how to form
they don't realize
healthy relationships that are realistic, healthy relationships in the future. One other thing before we let you go, that I see a lot in this parenting in a tech world Facebook group that I'm in, is parents will say, they listed some of the stuff that you just said, like Bark phone, Gab phone, parameters, family link through Google, some of these of which I utilize in my own home. And they say, you know, it doesn't matter what I set up. My kid always works around the obstacles that I put in place. What should I do? If your kid is always deceiving you, what do you do, Kristen?
You take it away. And that's the thing. So I have 2 boys, and they're very different creatures. One of the boys we can manage, and we're doing all right, but the other one has it taken away. And so if you need to parent your kids differently, if that's the case, if that's what you need to do, I think that's fine too. I mean, they're individuals. You know, if they won't respect boundaries, you know, this is how the world works. It gets taken away.
Yeah, you would do it if your kid doesn't come home at curfew, if they're going places and deceiving you, like you take the car away. Why are we why are we so weak-minded as parents that we won't do these things anymore?
Yeah, it's a shame. I see parents doing their kids a lot of disservice because they're scared. But that Facebook group that you mentioned is a really good resource just to talk to other parents about it, and hear other parents go, you know, I'm having the same frustration. And I think as a community, if we band together and we say, look, we need to cool it on all this social media, I think we're going to see a lot of changes in our kids' mental health.
Well, Kristen Neal, president and CEO of Greenway Therapy right here in St. Louis, a licensed professional counselor. The website's begintalking.com. I want you to come back. I'd love to have more conversations like this, because putting the conversation out there helps parents understand that they are not alone in this, even though in the house, sometimes it feels pretty alone.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. We'll talk to you again soon. We appreciate you very much. Kristen Neal of Greenway Therapy. I appreciate that conversation so much. Can we talk more about this when we come back?
Yeah.
I'm interested. You guys are older than, of course, teenagers. Obviously, you've got children coming up, Ryan, and you'll be facing this more than maybe you are right now. But there are, oh my gosh, the bad actors that are out there trying to get to your kids. The evil that is trying to access your kids. And I'm just going to probably, if your kid has a phone and has access to the internet and you're not limiting it, the things that your child has consumed that you have no idea that they've consumed. If you're casually monitoring it, if they're not the ones seeking it out, they're around people who are seeking it out and sharing it with them. It's horrifying. Let's discuss when we come back. YouTube live chat poll. Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? Yes or no? We're going to talk a little bit about the update on that conflict in the 2:00 hour. There's a lot to discuss, and we love being a place that you drop in and discuss it with us. You can do so in person right there on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. Leave your comments after you vote. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan, where you get a new mortgage, a mortgage refinance, a cash out refinance, and you pay nothing. You pay nothing. $0 in closing costs when you use the Bagel Loan. And you can only access the Bagel Loan when you go to Stewart's American Mortgage. The number to reach them directly, calling him, texting him, either way, call Stewie, text Stewie at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You reach Stewie and you talk to him about your particular situation. If you're looking to buy a new home, you want to be the most competitive buyer out there so you cannot overspend on the home, that you can close quickly to make the transaction process more attractive to the seller. All of these things you can achieve when you work with Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. 314-324-4440. Reach out to Stewie directly. You'll be so glad you did. He'll tell you what's best for you, and he'll be happy to help if Stewart's American Mortgage is a part of it. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is based on one of the many issues that popped up over the weekend. Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? Yes or no? That is today's YouTube live chat poll. You find it by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube and finding today's date. You can also watch the stream there if you want to participate in the show in a different way. Maybe you've never done that before. 147 now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Freedom 13 remembers the heroes that made the ultimate sacrifice by supporting the veterans still with us. You can make a difference with just $13 a month. It's June for Jared in honor of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. Learn more at 971talk.com/talkinaction.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
As a parent, Ryan, so I've got a son and 3 daughters. My son's in high school. Your kids are intermediate school?
They're just going into 6th. So
Junior high, middle school.
Middle school.
You were a junior high kid, right?
Yeah, 7th was my first foray into
all right, we're kind of meaning business now.
Oh my gosh, it was so scary.
Ethan, did you go to a middle school or a junior high?
Middle school. Is there a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, big difference.
Wait, are you? I can't tell if you're being Wiggins or if you're being serious.
Yeah.
He's being both.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing both simultaneously. You don't
Explain
need
the
to know.
difference.
Well, in middle school, you go in usually starting in 6th grade. Sometimes it can be as early as 5th now.
Okay.
I think that's about as early as you could go. And it's basically the same.
Middle is 6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th?
Yeah.
That's what mine
But
was.
I've seen 5th graders now going to non-elementary schools, though. So I don't know if
haven't.
you'd call
Where?
that middle school or not.
In a
I don't
traditional public
remember.
school system?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't believe you.
just like I can't remember which towns, but I've seen that in towns that are like, look, our grade schools are maxed out. Now we have to do 5th grade as middle school too.
You mean because it's a numbers thing?
Numbers, yeah. You just max out your classrooms in elementary.
Somebody come onto the YouTube channel and tell us where there's a middle school that includes 5th grade.
Please do.
But junior high, 7th and 8th grade.
Always 7th and 8th when it's junior high, because you're just the first couple steps into going to high school. That's what it was considered.
It's like the transition out of grade school, but not quite into high school. But you got lockers. You're changing.
Is that not what middle school
that's,
is?
I was going to say, that's pretty much what I
gonna
understood
say,
middle school to be.
right.
Is you're still changing classes and stuff in 6th grade,
Good
right?
grief. Colonel Ripper says junior high is 7th through 9th.
Oh, it's
Ooh.
Not in this decade.
Get out of here.
I think that my parents, who graduated in the early 70s, I think 9th grade was a part of the junior high system, but I don't know if that's
Now there are some
happening.
schools that have, like freshman only buildings and stuff like
O'Fallon
that.
does. I think O'Fallon, Illinois does that.
Mhm, yep.
But they're still considered high
It's
school.
still high school, yeah.
Yeah. Regardless, I think the average age that kids are exposed to pornography is like 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
Does it stop you in your tracks to think that?
No.
It doesn't surprise you?
Not anymore, because I've heard that stat so many times. It's so strange, though, because that stat exists somewhere out there. My kids are not part of that stat. It's like there's a disconnect in my brain that they could be a part of that. They're not. I mean, we talk about this stuff, so I know that they're not. But I think that's probably part of it, is that we talk about it so much, and you talk about it in different ways with different ages. I remember having the talk with my son when he was, because of stats like this, when he was probably 8 or 9. And that was a little late for some people. They'd already had that talk. And he did not know what in the world I was talking about.
That's how I remember
accelerated the process for him.
Well, I don't know that I did.
But you have your kids are in a Christian school. You have a Christian church going home, and you're willing to have those conversations.
And my wife teaches at the school that my kids are at.
But I mean, that is a little bit more exceptional. The other 3 things are things that anybody can do.
Yeah.
If you choose to. It's not easy. It's a lifestyle choice. And, I will say the same thing. Like, I send my kids to a Lutheran school. I'm so grateful for the ability to do that. We go to church on Sundays. We are a Christian home, and that is foundational to what we do. But none of that means that this won't enter in a household like that. I mean, if you're looking at this, and you don't have to look at this from a Christian-based morality sense, you could look at this from a morality sense, or even a scientific, psychological sense, where you're talking about pornography, its existence in our culture. I don't think, Ethan, I'll ask you, I don't consider you to be raised in the same time we are, because we're old enough to be your parents, unfortunately. But pornography, barely. I mean, it's
mom and dad,
biologically possible. I don't think that pornography was accepted when we were being raised, but I do think it's accepted and understood as just something that is just part of the culture now. Way more than it was when we were growing up.
Accepted, do you think? Or just sort of like shoulder shrug?
You mean accepted from a societal standpoint, from a parental standpoint? What do you mean by that?
Not from a parental standpoint, but I do think there are probably way more parents who are like, that's what people do.
Shoulder shrug.
Yes.
Just hand wave.
OnlyFans.
Oh, it's crazy.
We have a social media platform for sexual fantasies and fetishes, which to me is pornography. Like it's definitely soft in that essence, but it absolutely is. And like,
not necessarily.
Well, it can be, but I'm saying it can be. But if you're fetishizing something, like, it is incredibly unhealthy for the ability for young people to establish healthy relationships, but it's incredibly unhealthy for anybody of any age to engage in something that is unrealistic and then try to apply your exposure and your draw to that to real life relationships that are not going to be the same as some sort of fantastical thing that you're consuming online. But in our society now, we're raising children in a world where there are a lot more people saying to the whole industry. That makes it super tough as a parent to navigate the world and the industry that exists when pornography is everywhere. I mean, good grief. Have you ever been watching something like maybe a sporting event or something, and a commercial comes on the TV that you're like, why am I seeing this in front of my kids right now? Or that you've seen, maybe you're sitting with your parents and you're like, I gotta get some popcorn. You like get out of the room because it's uncomfortable. Like, what we are culturally, societally accepting now is way more liberal than what we grew up with. And we're the ones raising the kids now. Did you know that I hesitate to say this because I don't want to tell other people something that's going to open the door for them that they didn't know was there. But parents, did you know that you can access pornography on Spotify?
I've never even heard of that.
I didn't know that, no.
Yes, you can.
I don't even like Spotify. I like the traditional radio.
For music?
Just in general. I just think more of America
Nice.
should participate in traditional radio.
I don't want to joke about this. The places that you can consume this information, it's wild. And I'm learning so much on this Parenting in the Tech World Facebook group that I'm in. They're telling the parents go in there, and most of them post anonymously. And when they don't post anonymously, I'm like, why are you not posting anonymously? You're telling your kids' business to the world here. But all of these different places where kids are going, like, go check, if you monitor your kid's phone, go see how much they're using Spotify. Big Taylor Swift fans.
Good on you, though, for just as far as and I know Kristen mentioned this too, the group, the Facebook group, using that and using a network of people that you all are doing this for the first time together, because there's never been a generation of parents that has had to parent with this challenge.
Know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And our kids know what they're doing. And they understand. They talk to each other and they tell each other what they can do and access. I'm all the time telling my kids to come over and read the Parenting in the Tech World post. Check out what this kid did. I want my kids to know that I am on it. I want them to know that they can tell me anything. Here's the other thing that I think is important to understand, and I'd be interested in your male perspectives on this. But if you're a maturing hormonal kid, pornography is not new. Magazines have been under beds for decades and decades and decades. And in many cases, I mean, the stories that you see in movies is like you get your dad's magazine, whatever. This is not a new thing. It is not unusual. It's actually probably, in the biological scientific sense, healthy that your kids would be curious, because that is a natural development that takes place while kids are growing up and developing scientifically to want to know more about what is going on with their body. So like, you can't just wag your finger at your child if they are curious or if they have sought it out somewhere on Spotify or wherever else it might be. You can't shame them. You have to have a pretty difficult, in-depth conversation. It's like, I understand why this happened, but I'm going to tell you why it's unhealthy. You're not at that age yet. Ryan already said that you've had a basic conversation with your kids, but you will be there.
Okay. You want a male perspective on this? Happy Father's Day, man. If you are looking at it yourself, get over it. You have got to do something to get it out of your life. It is causing you to just constantly be depressed. It is causing you to have it in your house. It is causing you to look at the world completely differently. If you want your kids to stay away from this, men, get off of the drug. The best way to do it is to talk to somebody you trust and have an accountability partner who you can tell everything to at any hour of the day. That is the place to start. Usually that's in church, but if you've got that guy separately, that's up to you.
there are other addictions that require that type of accountability.
Yes.
And it is an addiction. In a sinful world, it all makes sense that this exists and thrives so well. But you don't have to just accept it and be like, I guess that's just the way it is. And, commendation to you, Ryan, for starting with the father and the head figure of the household. It does start there. We can talk more in the 2 o'clock hour about this. Don't go away. We'll be right back on the Annie Fry Show. The Diamond Shop, man, they're always looking to seek out ways to make sure that you can have the most positive experience shopping for jewelry. Not overpaying for jewelry, but also not putting out, cheap crap that you're not going to be proud to have. Let's be honest, for generations to come, because when you buy a piece of jewelry at the Diamond Shop, you're really paying for something that is timeless. You're really investing in something that can mark a special occasion, can solidify a new relationship, that can put you in a position to celebrate something forever. Don't you want to go somewhere that you can trust these people to deliver on great quality at an affordable price? You can do that when you go to the Diamond Shop. And right now here in June, all watches are 20% off. Men's jewelry is 40% off. Go and learn how you can save 6 months, same as cash financing as well. All the details at thediamondshop.net.
KFTK FM Florissant, an Odyssey station.
A political assassination. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's how federal prosecutors describe Saturday's attacks in Minnesota, where suspect Vance Belter is accused of killing State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband after shooting and wounding a state senator and his wife. Police were checking on the Hortmans after the first shooting when they found Belter at the front door.
When Belter saw the officers get out of the car, he drew his weapon and began firing. He rushed into the house through the front door, firing into it.
Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson says officers fired at Belter, but he kept firing, killing the Hortmans and escaping out the back, captured the next day. Investigators say he had a list of more than 40 targets and that he and his vehicle were made to look like law enforcement, including flashing lights.
If officers had not been there, they say, to proactively check on Hortman, they believe he would have just continued down that target list.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in St. Paul, where Belter is making his first appearance in federal court, facing charges including murder and stalking. Israel's prime minister says Iran's nuclear program has been set back a very, very long time as Israeli airstrikes continue for a fourth day. Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv.
Given the relentless pounding that Iran has taken from Israel, we now have word that leadership in Iran is willing to de-escalate and return to the bargaining table. That, according to reporting from the Wall Street Journal. That being said, U.S. official now confirms to Fox News that the USS Nimitz carrier group is heading to the region ahead of schedule.
Iran's retaliatory missile strikes have killed more than 20 people in Israel, injuring hundreds. President Trump won't say what it would take for the U.S. to get involved militarily, but he says there's still time for Iran to make a nuclear deal. Meantime, House Speaker Mike Johnson postponing a trip to Israel that had been set for this weekend. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The summer feel in place, mainly due to the high humidity than anything else, a mix of clouds and sunshine going through the afternoon. Could be a shower here and there, maybe a rumble of thunder. 84 for the high. Tonight, plenty of clouds, a couple of scattered showers, maybe a thunder shower. 68 Tuesday, partly sunny. A spot shower, mainly a dry day Tuesday, and 92. Best chance of severe weather on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist.
CiviaLaw.com. Sorry, Dave. I'll make good on that later. Sorry, Dave. CiviaLaw.com. If you're looking for guidance in life transitions, if you are looking to prepare and relieve yourself of those intrusive thoughts that happen when you're thinking about the future and estate planning and trusts and powers of attorney, even those living will, that type of stuff. It's a difficult conversation. It's hard to go through those discussions. I will tell you from personal experience, specifically working with Civia Law, who put together our trust. When you sit down and have that conversation with an expert, the relief that you feel is immense. You've had the conversations, you've discussed the situations, the circumstances. If this happens, then what? If that happens, then what? You have those discussions, you get answers for them, you put them on paper, and then you breathe easy. That's really how it goes when you work with Civia Law. And he's in Missouri and Illinois. So anybody listening to me right now in those two states, you can reach out to Civia Law and get that process started right now. He will guide you through getting all the answers you need to the questions you didn't even know you need to ask. For the first 10 callers right now to 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, the first 10 callers, you're going to get a free strategy session. That's a $300 value. Sit down and have that initial conversation on us. We'd be happy to have you call. CiviaLaw.com.
Have you ever had a wedding reception in your yard or scheduled a party, birthday party or whatever kind of party at your house, and during the party or a couple, 3 hours before, notice your air conditioner is not working and it is the hottest day of the year? Or have you come home from a vacation and your house is baking? My experience has been that's when it will break. It just happens that way. So if that does happen to you, or so, again, you don't need to have a party or you don't need to be baked. But if your air conditioner breaks and you need to get the cold air back in your house, call me, Bart Inman. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. That is 314-293-2600. Again, the easiest of numbers, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, bartinman.com. It's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right? You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Happy to be with you this Monday afternoon. The YouTube live chat poll, do you support Israel's attack on Iran? So over the course of this show, the whole day, like if I were to pull some sound to play for you for, and when I say I pull, Ethan, some sound for you to, I don't want to appropriate your effort into the show. What's happening?
You did it all.
Yeah, everything here is just me. That's not true. Things are constantly changing. Things are constantly developing. That's the nature of this type of conflict, is it's going to evolve. I remember the first night after Israel launched the attacks, they said that Iran had sent some missiles. It was going to take hours for them to get there.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
And I'm like, hours? I'll tune in the morning?
Yeah.
That's super bizarre.
You'll have nice, fair warning that they're coming, I assume.
You can look on like the Fox Newses of the world, and they have, it's the type of story that doesn't have a news article posted. It has like a blog, and it's running and posting new things as they develop. So the latest here, Iran says one phone call from Trump would, quote, pave the way for a return to diplomacy.
What?
That almost makes Trump sound like a king.
Yeah, I don't like that one bit.
Absolutely not.
Protest against that.
Let's go protest, guys. Come on.
Iranian foreign minister suggested Monday that one phone call from President Donald Trump could pave the way to return to diplomacy in the Middle East. Quote, if President Trump is genuine about diplomacy and interested in stopping this war, next steps are consequential. Israel must halt its aggression, and absent a total cessation of military aggression against us, our responses will continue. It takes one phone call from Washington to muzzle someone like Netanyahu that may pave the way for a return to diplomacy. Also, quote, conversely, getting the United States mired in the mother of forever wars will destroy any prospect for a negotiated solution with dangerous, unpredictable, and likely unfathomable, all caps, unfathomable consequences for regional security and the global economy. Let us not forget, Iran did not begin this war and has no interest in perpetuating bloodshed. But we will proudly fight to the last drop of blood to protect our land, our people, our dignity, and our achievements. First question. Did Iran strike first?
Yes.
How?
October
7th.
Well, I wasn't even going back to that, but Iran does fund all that terror. So you could go back that far if you wanted to. I'm going back to October of last year when they fired rockets at Israel.
I'm absolutely going to October 7th.
Sure.
I don't think that in our lifetime, I mean, September 11th, I heard a lot of people say that October 7th, like per capita, may have been more devastating in Israel than the deaths per capita in Israel compared to the deaths per capita in the United States, 9/11. You've heard that too?
Yes, I have.
I don't know. I wonder how many people who show up at these, pro-Gaza, pro-Hamas protests. That's different than the No Kings protest. But the pro-Gaza stuff, the anti-Israel protest, do they really know the depravity, the murderous depravity that existed on October 7th in Israel?
I would say at least half of them do not. Some of them probably do and just think, yeah, but that's part of this bigger.
Which is worse?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's worse if you do, because you have to find some sort of justification for why Hamas was fine or at least justified in doing that, which makes no sense. How can you, the way that went down, that is not a war. This is a war. What you're looking at, missiles firing back and forth, that's what war looks like. Going individually and maybe drugging yourself up, which is the reports, and just raping people and cutting them open. And you're not talking about soldiers. You're talking about people at concerts, women, kids, taking them hostage. That is so depraved that trying to find a justification for that.
Raping the mothers in front of their children and then killing their children. Raping the children. They literally put babies in ovens.
And then some way finding a way to say, yeah, but yes, we're not going to defend that, but
no buts.
It's almost like it is kind of skipped over. You know, it's a, okay, yes, I quickly acknowledge it happens, but this is all what we want to talk about. This isn't right. It just seems like in every single argument that is anti-Israel, that is pro-Palestine, not really pro-Hamas, but they say pro-Palestine, it does back Hamas, is that it's skipping over that part. It is almost like they're choosing to not want to look into the details because maybe it would hurt the argument, it would hurt the backing that whether they've been told to support it or, you know, they feel is their side's alignment. We have to skip over this part, ignore this part to a certain extent because this would hurt the argument to see the reality of how disgusting the acts of October 7th were.
Ryan, what do you think about, have you seen this? I see it a lot on X, but there is a divide among people who voted and supported Trump in whether or not Israel was justified.
Israel is justified in this attack?
Yeah.
That's okay. I think you can question that. It doesn't mean I would agree with you, but questioning war tactics is fine. You can have those discussions.
In a country with no kings, you can.
If you have a king, you can't even protest against a king.
That's
usually
that's ironic.
So, but I mean, these are fair conversations to have. I don't think that you look at any side ever and you go, well, they're 100% fine and they're great, and this side is 100% awful and terrible. There's a reality to the nature of mankind that's never the case. But you also have to find the bigger causes at play here and figure out what's the justification, what's the motivation really right now for doing these things. And I can't find a motivation for Iran to have nuclear weapons that would benefit anybody other than maybe Iran. I don't even think it would benefit them.
3 minutes ago, reported by Luis Cassiano on Fox News, Iran is reportedly signaling that it wants to end to hostilities with Israel and a resumption of talks over its nuclear programs, according to media reports. Tehran has been sending messages to Israel and the United States via Arab intermediaries. Middle Eastern and European officials told the Wall Street Journal Iran has said it would be open to returning to the negotiating table as long as the United States doesn't join the attacks, the official said. And my interjection, that was like the only statement that the United States made, is we are not a part of these attacks. Don't attack us. We are not a part of these attacks. I repeat, we are not a part of these attacks. However, Israel has little incentive to come back to the table as it has ultimate air superiority over Iran. Israeli strikes have damaged Iranian nuclear and military sites in recent days. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the attacks will continue until Iran's nuclear program and ballistic missiles are destroyed. And he has shown no indication he's ready to stop. He has also said regime change isn't a goal, but could be a result given the Iranians' leadership's weaknesses. Any thoughts?
Well, I would say that sounds like Iran really wants to end this quickly.
Which means they're getting their butts kicked.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, that's what the conditions that Iran is putting forth are not difficult to achieve, but they also, I'm going back just to October of last year, because this type of war, even just this skirmish right here that we're experiencing, this was started by Iran. We remember watching it for about 2 days, and it's weird with days there because it's, day and night, but they were launching missiles from Iran, not from a terrorist faction. Like, that was what was so different about this one. It was the nation of Iran firing missiles at the nation of Israel. Usually there's terror involved. This one wasn't. And so this, at the time, we all said, this is going to just provoke something bigger. But then nothing really happened quickly. And now we're seeing the other side of that. They waited and waited, and now they're executing. They have no reason to stop. They've waited this long to do it.
I would encourage anybody listening right now who maybe is getting to the story a little bit later for whatever particular reason to go to the Annie Fry Show podcast and listen to Jim Talent on Friday. And I thought that, I mean, he stabilized me in a position, very much so speaking for him. It's like, you can't cheer for this stuff, but you also can't sit around. I mean, and there are some people, our YouTube poll for today on the Annie Fry YouTube channel is, do you support Israel's attack on Iran? Yes or no. There are some people who are like, it's almost too late. I think it was on Friday I heard that Iran was like pursuing nuclear capability. I think I said with like 9 weapons or 9 places or something. 30% of the enrichment that they had achieved had taken place in the last 3 months. So they're exponentially getting closer to being nuclear. And it was the last question I asked Jim Talent. And sometimes I ask these questions, and there are many of you who are like, Annie, come on. Stupid question. But there are a lot of you who are listening who don't pay attention to this stuff. You know nothing about this because you don't want to know anything about this. You're not going to affect the nuclear outcome of Iran. So you stay away from it because you figure that it is so far away from you that whatever happens is going to happen. And then it starts to get a little more serious in conversation. You're like, okay, I'll dip in. But what would Iran do with a nuclear weapon? All I think is, what are they doing without a nuclear weapon? They're funding terrorist organizations, have been an enormous part of American history during my lifetime. The conflicts that have existed in my lifetime very much so center around terrorist activity funded by Iran and their partners. At some point, if much smaller scale, teeny tiny, much smaller scale. But if you have somebody in a school setting and they're bullying, and the bully never is held accountable for their bullying action, doesn't their bullying get worse? Don't they get a little less secretive, a little bolder about how they bully? And if they're never put into a position where they're told, we do not stand for this behavior, oh, what are you going to do about it? That's kind of if it's not in words, it's in actions. Like, what are you going to do? What are you really going to do about it? That's what Iran's been doing this whole time. What are you going to do about it? Iran holds their breath until they get a favorable, weak United States president. To that first thing that I said here today, that first report I read from Fox News, Iran says one phone call from Trump could pave the way for a return to democracy. Take the word Trump out and put United States in. And then fill in the blank there from whoever, who was at the start of the Russia-Ukraine war. You remember when Joe Biden waddled his way out to the podium that had the big X marked on the floor where he was told to stand, and then the big bold print on the paper that someone wrote for him that he was supposed to read? Do you remember when he said that he wouldn't be bothered by a minor incursion? Russia was like, permission slip signed, let's go. They're not going to stop me. And Donald Trump's failure to end the Russia-Ukraine war 100 and probably 50 something days into his presidency here, his inability 147 days into his presidency to end the war, anybody who's going to criticize him, you said you're going to do this. Those people are not criticizing Joe Biden for being completely, literally absent while all of this death and destruction was created. It's too cheap to just be like, oh, it's a red-blue issue. Like, that's too lazy. It's too cheap. Actual people are dying because of our inability to lead. And now Donald Trump has put himself in a position, by the way he's managed this so far, to potentially be a negotiator for peace. Now, if Iran is saying, yeah, this will all stop if the United States does what they're supposed to do and they call Israel and they tell them to knock it off. If Iran wants to step out and make that kind of statement, it's a dumb statement. The United States has basically said, Israel's going to do what they think that they have to do, and we're not going to go on the offense with them. But we stand with Israel, and Iran is now saying, it almost looks like they're saying uncle. I don't know what happens next. I know that they're still firing missiles back at one another. But we are in a position right now to look at weak American leadership and strong American leadership. And how ironic that the number one message that came from the United States when Israel went to attack Iran was America first. We are allies with Israel, but we are not on the offense with them. Do not strike our air bases. Do not strike our assets. Because this America First administration has remained America First. And because of Donald Trump's, I wouldn't call it completely isolationist, but because of his America First, not America only mentality, he might be in a position to negotiate some sort of peace. Or at least a ceasefire. Maybe not. But just to suggest that Donald Trump can't be able to do it, show me who can. I think the president is handling this very well.
I am too. The problem is, this is textbook stuff. And hopefully, I think Trump probably knows this, that the way these state-sponsored terrorist organizations / nations work, whether it's Iran or Gaza or whoever, is that they'll come out and they'll hit you as hard as they possibly can, usually Israel, hit you as hard as they can. And then they back up and they go, ceasefire, truce. And if they get it, then they just wait out the next regrouping to hit them again. And so this is textbook stuff where they hit them and then they go, whoa, hey, we'll negotiate.
Are you talking about Iran?
Iran now. Yeah, they hit them and then they go, hey, let's negotiate because we don't want to get hit anymore. That's what they always do.
Israel is committed to seeing this thing through.
Israel, yes, they are.
Yeah, they have not done the okay, we're gonna smack you back into your space. They look like they're like, we're done with this. We're not doing this anymore.
Exactly. And October 7th changed that.
And I don't have any problem with that.
I don't either.
I do hope that the United States stays in the position where they are right now. Part of the conversation, but not. It's more of the mediator. Don't move out of the mediator position at the table to the side of somebody for our own sake. Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? Yes or no? You go to the Andy Fry YouTube channel and vote. Tell us what you think. Ender said, I chose no, but I really don't care. We shouldn't be involved, period. That's the way a lot of people do feel about this. Joe disagrees. He said, yes, Israel wouldn't exist if they relied on the goodwill of their neighbors. They have no choice other than to fend for themselves. Both talking about Israel acting on Israel's behalf. The question is, how do you feel about it? Andy Fry YouTube channel, go vote. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Michael's Flooring Outlet. Boy, when you are looking for quality flooring, when you are looking for good people, it doesn't matter. You get to the point in your life where you're like, I don't want to give my money to people who don't appreciate me, respect me, don't like me, or whatever it might be. You need to go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Online at igotfloored.com. If you're shopping for flooring and you're brand new to the process, you've made the decision, it's time to replace that flooring. Maybe you're finishing the basement, whatever it might be. I know there's some of y'all that have now become empty nesters, and you are ready to take those bedrooms that aren't used as bedrooms anymore and make them your spaces. The man cave is about to get created. Get your flooring from Michael's Flooring Outlet and start online at igotfloored.com, where you can look at the different products that they have available. You can check out reviews if you want to check my work on Michael's Flooring Outlet. You can read the reviews of many, many, many customers who have used their services here in the bi-state region. You can also request a free estimate at igotfloored.com. They have the products that you want, maybe the products you haven't been exposed to quite yet, like the Techwood Plus line of beautiful hardwood looking floor, as well as the Mohawk Smart Strand line of carpeting. Find them online at igotfloored.com.
You know how you always want to know about everyone else's money? On the podcast, What We Spend, guests will, for 1 week, tell us everything they spend their money on.
My son slammed $6 worth of blueberries in 5 minutes.
And everything that makes them feel.
I want to own a house. I want to have a child. But this morning, I really wanted a coffee.
Because at the end of the day, money is always about more than your balance. Listen to and follow What We Spend, an Odyssey original podcast. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
When you get hurt, you don't want to end up on the injured list. You want to get back in the game, stronger than ever. At Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, we fight for you, making sure big insurance doesn't throw you a curveball. With over $25 billion recovered, we're the home run hitters you need.
This is way out there and gone.
Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Proud sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FAME to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough money to retire? Well, you can find out how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You will learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security income, paying for health care, all of it. And there's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. Now, there are a handful of openings for the classes this month and next. Just register by calling 314-947-2012. 314-947-2012. It's the Sue Thomas number. 314-947-2012.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the preferred partner plan and be ready for the first heat wave. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show. This is our job. You're listening to the Annie Fry Show.
It's like, that's not serious.
Well, you never know.
Serious is hard, though.
It could be very serious.
I like the execution of it from this is the Annie Fry Show to this is the Annie Fry Show. This is our job.
Yeah, I don't know if those were meant to go together.
No, they weren't. Well, that's what happens when you're playing hockey for the first time.
Ethan, you've been upgraded from associate producer to...
Sound like you're saying playing hockey for the first time.
Hotkey.
Hotkey.
A little industry lingo.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Wiggins.
Is it significantly different to be filling in for Brad than what you normally do?
Oh my God, yes. Very different.
Pain in your butt?
Totally. Massive pain in my butt. Why does he have
to talk about Ryan?
I can't believe that he would go on vacation. Yeah. How rude of him.
Barely once a year.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We're like, Brad, why don't you go on vacation?
Brad, you need a vacation.
No, it does change because I'm doing a lot of the stuff that I do for Mark Reardon's show is pulling the audio and a lot of those different things. So I'm doing a lot of that just for your show. So, I have to get up earlier. I usually get up at what time do I usually wake up? 9:45.
What time do you go to bed?
Ooh, anywhere between midnight and 1:30 usually.
I respect that.
But last night I went to bed at midnight.
Can you just make yourself go to bed earlier?
With melatonin, yes.
Oh, same.
Mm.
Does your job change when Brad's out?
Not
Do you have to
significantly.
supervise Ethan?
My job changes a lot when you're out.
Yeah, I know.
But Brad,
Then I'm
not so much.
supervising him.
Then you're
when you're out.
Yeah, that's for sure. Brad's out for the week, and Ethan is filling in, running the board. So you'll hear a lot more of Ethan this week. Make sure you jump on the Annie
Sorry,
Fry
guys.
YouTube channel. Oh no, we're gonna have fun with this. Jump on the Annie Fry YouTube channel and let Ethan know how great of a job he's doing. Only
or terrible.
Well, Ryan will probably get in the chat there.
Hey, this is not Ryan. You're doing a bad job, Ethan.
I don't know that you need to change your voice when we're
You a
talking about
sailor
typing
boy
it.
over there
Oh,
or
yeah, we
something?
do. Trust me, it comes through the emojis.
We've got Middle East war escalation. There are so many different things that are evolving on the news cycle. For a normal week is busy. This seems to be exceptionally busy. Our YouTube live chat poll is: do you support Israel's attack on Iran? Yes or no? Annie Fry YouTube channel to vote in the live chat portion of our current live YouTube broadcast. We'd love to have you subscribe there. The other thing that's really big deal, the big beautiful bill. It stands, if the Senate goes and signs it, or if the Senate goes and votes in favor of it, Donald Trump is signing that thing pronto. They've given themselves a July 4th deadline. That's soon.
Yeah, it is.
What do you want to see from the Senate?
More cuts, more cuts, more cuts, more cuts, more cuts. You need to cut it more, Senate.
Cut it out.
I just am concerned though that I saw Chip Roy say today that they're sending in the lobbyists to try to save parts of the Green New Deal.
Chip Roy would say that.
Of course he is, but he's also significant on the House side because he says if you change that, you're going to lose my vote and a few others, and then it won't pass. So it's important to watch it just from a news standpoint too. I just, where are you? Rand Paul and Ron Johnson need one more senator to join them to have a coalition that could actually impact the cuts, but they can't find one more senator to join them to be the ones that everybody hates.
Yeah, but one more senator to drastically change that bill means you lose support in the House.
If you cut it, you don't lose as much support. You might.
It doesn't matter as much because as much is there's no room for.
Well, if you're just losing a
more
couple of deep blue state Republican House members, then you could get by with it. So, which is why they're probably not touching SALT because that's their main thing.
Well, Bost said that the contingent of if you swing the other way, if you satisfy, which you can't, I don't think you can satisfy Thomas Massie. I'm not mad at him. I agree with you. They keep electing him. I don't think that there's anything he would ever support.
Yeah.
I don't think
he's not specific enough with his requests.
And if he keeps getting elected and people keep supporting him, that's the nature of the business. So he's not my representative. I don't think he can be satisfied. I find that to be a bit annoying, but that is what it is. But the Chip Roys and folks that are more like him seem to be a little bit more reasonable about negotiation. It's like you cannot negotiate with Thomas Massie. He would have to write the whole bill himself, and everybody would have to give Thomas Massie the level of trust that Donald Trump is really asking for people to give him. But we had a federal election across the entire country where people could vote for Donald Trump, and they chose Donald Trump. There's just a small contingent of people in Kentucky who voted for Thomas Massie. So he doesn't carry that weight, at least not with me. But he still has one vote in the House, and one vote in the House right now is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So Bost said specifically on this show that if you were to try to satisfy the Chip Roys of the world to the extent with which they wanted to be satisfied, that you would lose a much larger group of Republicans in, like Ryan was mentioning, in those red districts in blue states. So it's a balancing act. And the question is, do we all want to stand on principle and nothing gets done? Or do we want to compromise our principles and get something done? And I'm not saying necessarily that one of those is better than the other. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. John Thune, the leader of the the majority leader in the Senate, was talking with Martha McCollum just a couple minutes ago about this. And he had this to say. Are we up?
That the American people won't have a $4 trillion tax increase at the end of the year if the big, beautiful bill passes. That's what we're trying to prevent and avoid. It also adds a number of new tax pieces. It ends its tax on, as the president has indicated, tax on tips, tax on overtime, lowers taxes on Social Security recipients, There are a bunch of things in there, Martha, that benefit middle-income families. There's an increase in the child tax credit, for example. So it's preventing a huge tax increase, getting more relief to the American people in the form of tax relief and putting more money in their pockets so they're sending less to Washington. That's what first and foremost it's about. But it's about securing the border. It's about modernizing our military. It's about making sure that we are energy dominant heading into the future. There are a whole bunch of features of this bill. And perhaps even most importantly to a lot of people is it's got the biggest spending reduction in history and reforms to programs that haven't been attempted around here in decades. This is a piece of legislation that we need to get across the finish line. It's harder in the Senate. We have different rules that we have to comply with than they do in the House. And we're in the process of working through it. But in the next couple of weeks, I expect to get it done.
Well, Rand Paul says you won't vote for it unless it has a debt ceiling requirement in it. Then today you have the Committee for a Responsible Budget coming out and saying that it, in its current form as written, it will add $15 trillion to the debt. We're already at $37 trillion. What do you say to people who look at that and say, I thought we were going in the other direction? What happened to a more responsible budget?
Well, we are, and this will reduce the deficit, not increase it. And the reason for that is, one, we are going to have the biggest spending reduction in history. But secondly, all the other things I mentioned, Martha, are going to generate growth in the economy. And when the economy is growing and expanding and people are investing, you get more government revenue. And the standard rule of thumb is for about 1% increase in GDP, in growth in the economy, you get about $3 trillion of additional tax revenue. So the goal here is pro-growth policies that will get the economy growing and expanding, coupled with more fiscal austerity, fiscal responsibility. There'll be $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion in spending cuts in here, biggest spending reduction in America, in American history. And I think those two things together will mean that we will be reducing and getting that deficit trending down instead of trending up. What a lot of those folks don't do is they don't take into consideration what happens when you put pro-growth policies in place. And that is you get economic growth and you get more government revenue. So
they score,
most of them are using static models.
They score without taking into account the growth side of the equation. And we've seen that for a long time. We'll see.
So there's Martha McCallum talking with Thune over this issue that the big, beautiful bill would need to be passed, of course, in the Senate in order for it to get to President Trump. If they change it in the Senate, it's got to go back to the House, who has to approve it, the Senate version. And then if the House approves the Senate revision bill, then it can go to the president and be signed. Anything there that strikes you?
Yeah, I don't like that slimy dog language to say, well, it's going to reduce the deficit, not increase it. Yeah, but it's still going to increase the national debt. So it's just the language that sounds nice. It's true. What he's saying is not false.
I was just going to say, he's not deceiving.
Well, depending on what you'd consider deceiving, because it sounds very nice. Like, well, it's going to reduce the deficit.
Well, no.
Okay.
He's talking about reducing the deficit and spending versus income that they have right now. He's saying the right words and he is making sense. What you want him to do is reduce the national debt.
Or at least keep it even. And they're not.
Well,
they're adding to it.
But he said right there, it's not, this is not it. This is not our soul. This is not 100% of our effort to achieve that means to that end of reducing the national debt. Because I don't think keeping it where it is the goal either. You have to take what they're saying and have the bit of hope that President Trump has and that these other Republicans have, that the economy will grow.
Yeah, I also share that hope. Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm against that. If all of what they're saying happens, then great. Then they actually will reduce the national debt. But it's just we've seen that model before in budgets, and
not with this level of attention, focus, and detail.
No, you're right. This is much more, and I'll say there's much more in this bill that focuses on a broader agenda too. And that's good, because a lot of the stuff in the bill, I would say the vast majority of stuff in this bill is good stuff.
I think that the important thing to understand for everybody paying attention is that this bill is going to end up being the best that they can do with the people who got sent to Washington, D.C. in the last election. That whatever it is, and I think a lot of people have hopes that the Senate will make it a better bill. I think that the Senate can make it a better bill, and I think that the detractors in the House, whichever side they're on, I don't think they're going to want to be the ones that are on the hook for sending the whole thing down. But I think when I reiterate that this isn't the whole effort of the Trump administration to rectify the disastrous overspending, overbloated, swamp-ridden economy that we have had for decades now, that there is more to it. You have to trust but verify on that. You have to know that this isn't, that the big, beautiful bill is maybe just a big bill, and that the beautiful part of it is going to have to materialize in conjunction with other plans that you have to also verify on, which means when it comes to the midterm elections next year, check your current representation and who's up for election. Every single person in the House is up for election. And a few of us are going to have senators that are up for election. Dick Durbin, of course, retiring, not running for re-election next year. Can an Illinois Republican win that seat? Probably not, but you got a shot at it right now. You have to put yourself into a position where you send the best people to go do the job and then realize you don't get to send everybody who goes to Congress. But when you do have the opportunity to send people there, you have to get invested. You have to know at the end of the election, win or lose, that you did everything you could to try to impact it so that you don't have to have such a slim majority where you've got people on both sides of those issues, like the SALT thing, that the state and local tax consideration that makes people who live in blue states like we do in the state of Illinois, you've got these super high property taxes, and those Republicans want people to be able to write some of that off, more of that off than they have been able to in the past. Well, that's not a red state problem. That's a blue state problem. And if you got a blue state, that's on the people in the blue state to fix. It's not on Missouri to fix Illinois' stupid, ignorant, moronic Democrat supermajority problem. That's on us in Illinois to fix it. So you have to show up and you have to do something about it. And we're in a position right now where with this big, beautiful bill, we do have to trust that Donald Trump has a bigger picture that's going to come together and verify that if it doesn't end up happening, then something really does have to change. I don't know. I'll be curious to see how much success the Senate has in changing it. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, the YouTube live chat poll results with Ethan before we wrap up the show. Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? Yes or no? Be interested to see what the breakdown of you folks listening out there to 97.1 FM Talk and the Annie Fry Show. How do you feel about it? Go weigh in. We'll be right back.
It's not my problem.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
All of the time, no matter the show, I need you.
TheDidmoreGroup.com, buying and listing real estate. If you're selling, if you're looking to purchase, either way, you can contact the Didmore Group and take part in working with the #1 team and the #1 office in the Metro East. That is the Didmore Group. Tammy Didmore and her amazing team at the Didmore Group, man, they are the experts who get the job done. I follow multiple of them on social media, and I'm always seeing the beautiful houses that they are listing. And then by the time I can send them to somebody who might be interested in that, they're sold. So if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to sell a home and you want to get it sold fast, you can contact the Didmore Group at 618-531-4652. 618-531-4652 and talk about your home. Talk about your timeline. Maybe your timeline isn't like, I got to sell this house right now. Maybe it's, I think we're going to have to make a move in the next 3 months. What can we get for a house? What do we need to do to get top dollar? What would be a waste of our money to invest in our home before we list this house to sell? You have those questions. You need experts who have the answers, and the answers are at the Didmore Group. 618-531-4652. 618-531-4652. Online at thedidmoregroup.com.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-355-8282. That's 800-355-8282. Again, that's 800-355-8282.
When's the last time you gave your home's exterior a little love? Hi, it's Kim, and if your siding is cracking, it's fading, or just doesn't stand up to our St. Louis weather, it's time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design because they're experts in James Hardy siding, which is this durable, low-maintenance option, and it looks beautiful. Plus, you have customizable colors and textures, and so you can give your home a completely new look while protecting it for decades. Don't wait until the small problems turn into big ones. Visit lakesidearty.com to schedule your free consultation.
The Range St. Louis West is launching the countdown to 250 years of American freedom this July by giving away 5,000 rounds of 9mm ammo. 5 winners will get 1,000 rounds each, and winners are going to be drawn July 1st. Don't miss your shot. Enter now at therangestl.com/ammo. You have to be 21 or older to enter. It's open to Missouri residents and Illinois residents with a valid FOID card. No purchase necessary. therangestl.com/ammo.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-million. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? That is today's YouTube live chat poll question. It's a simple yes or no. Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? We'll give you the results of this poll within 6 or 7 minutes. It is 2:49. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
Keep it here. A better show is coming up next. For now, this is the Annie Fry Show.
You heard that one yet?
No.
Yeah, that one's new. I couldn't remember if we played
What's
it
that
Friday.
one titled? Mark Reardon Show promo AFS?
No, it's called You Suck.
Actually, it says joke liner, a bet, and that's all I see. So
Joke liner what?
That's all it says.
Oh,
a bet, ...
I'm sure it says a better show.
A better show, something like that.
There's one more that we haven't played yet.
Yes.
You know who really, really loved your roasts of me from last week?
Was it your dad?
Yes.
Yes. That's always the goal, isn't it?
Play it again, Sam.
What? Oh,
play the one from the new one from last week.
The
Find that one.
Award? Okay,
Yes.
let me pull that up.
It got talked about this weekend.
Okay, so just to set this up, the Annie Fry Show has won Best On-Air Talent for the MBAs in 2025.
What is the NBA?
Well, that's what we're about to find out.
Okay, fine.
When the Annie Fry Show heard they'd been given an award from the NBA, they weren't surprised. After all, Annie has a mean jump shot and Ryan can dunk.
Wiggins. Oh, Wiggins with a man's jam.
But when they heard the NBA had awarded them with Best On-Air Talent in Missouri, non-morning, they were a little confused. That seems really specific and not related to basketball, producer Brad Range said.
That seems really specific and not related to basketball.
It turns out it wasn't the NBA at all. It was the MBA, Missouri Broadcasters Association. This award makes a lot more sense now, said Wiggins.
This award makes a lot more sense now.
Wow, Best On-Air Talent in Missouri, said Annie. So congratulations to the Annie Fry Show for Best On-Air Talent in the state, non-morning drive. And also just announced, the Annie Fry Show has won the Missouri Broadcasters Association Award for highest free throw percentage, non-morning drive. Huzzah!
I like where he says, Annie said, And then it doesn't happen, but you can hear him breathing in there.
I left that in there.
It's like
exaggerating the fact that you are not quoted there.
Yeah, Dad thought that was great. Thanks.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that too. You know, those are really jokes within jokes. I think that's where I like to know that the appreciation is happening, because overall the joke is that it's the NBA, not the NBA, and back and forth. It's basketball. But then there's the joke about the quotes.
The Missouri Broadcasters Association, folks. That's what it was. It's a big deal.
Best on-air talent. Can you believe it? I can't.
Non-morning.
Non-morning.
Mark Cox just walks by me every day, raises his eyebrows and tilts his head to the side. He's like,
non-morning.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Mark. I see you. Anywho.
Anyway, is that a congratulatory? That your dad was super happy for you, right?
Well, I sort of found out in Hawaii. Here's the funny thing. The person who got second place is Hayes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was scrolling Facebook, and he had announced that, and I was like, that is so cool, Hayes. I love Hayes. He's a great guy. He's great at what he does. And he's on a different radio station now. But I was going to say something to him, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. So I went to try to see more details on Best Air Talent, because that's what he and I like won the same award. And then I couldn't find it because the details weren't out that. And so then I just like went on with my day. And then later, like, I don't know, maybe a day or two later, I think an email went out. And in the email, it was like everybody here at Odyssey email, and it listed us, which I found like later on. That's like all I heard about it. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then I just went on with my vacation.
It's funny because I also found out when I was on vacation, because ours overlapped, but I found out in reverse, where I found out about the award, then saw Hayes' post and went, oh, Hayes is second.
Yeah.
And he mentions a show or something, a political talk show being first.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's why
I'm like,
I
you didn't even say us. We know you.
Well, he doesn't
but
need
he
to.
didn't need to say that.
No. And I messaged him since then. I'm like, I'm really happy for you, man. So it's good to talk to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I told my dad in passing in Hawaii, I'm like, hey, I kind of won this thing. He's like, can't wait to hear Ryan make fun of you. He didn't say that, but I think he thought it.
He probably did. It's one of the greatest things about winning an award.
The roast?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you are the Dean Martin of my Sammy Davis Jr.
Alrighty. That's good.
That is a super deep cut.
I know who Dean Martin is.
Multiple generations.
I don't know who the other one is.
YouTube live chat poll for today. Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? Yes or no, Ryan?
Yes. Yeah. Especially since we're not involved. That would change things. But as is right now, I absolutely do support
It's not our attack on Iran.
Right.
It's Israel's attack. I'm a yes. Ethan, have you thought about this one yet?
I'm a big yes.
Big yes. Why don't you hit us with the results before we wrap this?
With pleasure. 247 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. Do you support Israel's attack on Iran? And, well, the people are definitely leaning towards one side in large majority as well. 87% say yes, 13% say no.
87% say yes.
That's not even close.
No, that's not close. I wondered if it would be. I usually try to ask questions in the poll that I think will probably show a little bit of a divide in our audience, and sometimes they come out like this and it's resounding. So a yes from you folks on the whole. All right, stick here. Mark Reed Show is coming up next. Reminder, the Annie Fry Show podcast is available almost immediately after the show, and Ryan is the one who puts that together, and Ryan is the one who titles the episodes. I get no say in it whatsoever. Check out today's episodes at anniefryshow.com/podcast. Keep it here for the Mark Reed Show.
So beat the drum. You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't let a shifting economy put your heart